Welcome back to another episode of Heroes of the Highlands, our Tales Arcane live play. We're now several episodes into the adventure of three heroes attempting to save the life of an innocent woman who happens to be a werewolf. They're trying to save Chamelia, this woman who's been captured by the tyrannical werewolf hunting order of knights known as the Silver Thistle. Before we jump into our session, as always, a quick shout out to Jessica Bowen, who did the wonderful character art that you're seeing on screen right now. Also to Nerdy's Maximus, whose music we're using throughout this entire adventure. And of course, a name check to Incarnate, the program, the website that we use for all of the maps and the battle maps and the regional maps that you see throughout the show. As always, we have Louis playing Boglach, Sarah playing Zell, and Cal playing Glut. And we begin at the entranceway into the great fortress at the top of the sort of the fortified town that our players have been gradually infiltrating. Lochilvin Castle is an impregnable fortress, but using guile, disguises, and a fair dose of brutal violence, our heroes have infiltrated the castle, taken out the guards, drawn the bulk of the forces away to what is apparently some kind of quite large and rapidly growing riot in the lower portion of the town. And our heroes now have entered the main hallway of Castle Lochilvin to find that everything is very quiet. And they're now just standing in the entranceway planning their next move. What would you like to do?
Glut leaves.
Need to.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, Glut wants to go. Sorry, Glut is going back into the courtyard. Just not a word. Just gonna go out into the courtyard.
Follow after.
Yeah,
Okay.
Zell's confused, so she's gonna follow after and be like, "What just happened?"
Glut has an amazing idea, and they're gonna sprint up the stairs 3 at a time into one of the watchtowers. It's like surrounding the big ramparts where I threw the guys down the stairs. So
Look, we'll follow up one stair at a time. I think.
Yes.
all right. Well, in which case, as when you guys get up the stairs, you'll see Glut trying to attempt to rip the ballista off the holding that it's on in the watchtower. Can I attempt to do that?
Yeah, you can. Are you trying to do it with brute force, or are you examining the mechanism that holds it in place?
I'm
Trick
trying
question.
to rip it off. I'm just grabbing the underside of the big crossbow and just trying to rip it off.
Absolutely. Give me an athletics check.
I would love to. That is a 19.
Oh, as your companions enter the room, they hear the sound of rending wood and metal and the sort of tinkling of metal bolts flying out of the fittings and onto the floor as you see the small figure of Glut wrenching this very large sort of ballista-style crossbow up out of its wooden mounting at the window and kind of hoisting it onto her shoulder. This thing is easily, if it was upright, would be as tall, if not a little taller than Glut.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to pick it up and place it on my back, so the firing mechanism is facing upwards, and then I'm gonna be like, Bogla, can you tie this thing to my back?
Sure. I'll
Just
take out some
wrap the
and-
rope around my chest, around my stomach, and just attach this thing to my back.
Zell's gonna watch incredulously and be like, "Are you gonna be able to carry that thing around?"
Yeah, don't worry. That's not trouble.
Okay.
See, Boglach is confused, but you've gained trust in terms of your plans have all gone
They've
to
all-
accord, so it's not to question it. But yeah, I'll do my best to tie the ballista to the back of the boat.
All right. So how secure is this ballista tied to my back? How good is Boglak at tying giant wooden crossbows to the back of people?
Rope. It's not. You can easily kind of attach it to the back of Glut. Anywhere Glut goes now, there will be this loud kind of creaking and clanking sound as the sort of the swaying metallic wooden construction on her back kind of shifts. But you can move it around. You just won't go anywhere quietly.
Okay. And I'm gonna ask Zell if she can take the spare bolts that are in the barrel beside where the ballista was originally.
Yeah, no issue there. So Zell will take them.
Zell,
And she's
as
just
you're
gonna kind
pulling
of.
those,
How big are these?
the bolts are probably about 3.5 feet long each.
Okay,
These are
so
big, almost like little javelins, and you can see that the end of each one is wrapped in kind of oil-soaked rags around the tip.
Okay, and how many would a person feasibly be able to carry at once?
You could probably kind of almost like lashing them with rope, maybe tie 4 across your back.
Perfect. Yeah, Zell's gonna do that. She'll tie some together, and kind of make like almost like a makeshift sling with the rope, and then toss it over her shoulder.
Okay, Glut taking their first couple uncertain steps, just figuring out the kind of counterweight between the giant ballista being on their back and just being able to adjust their movements accordingly to the new weight. They're gonna unsteadily at first, but then as towards the bottom of the stairs, they're able to take them down 2 at a time again, not 3 at a time. So not fully, and then start just the noise of the swaying wooden massive construction with the metal lashings to it, and just I'm just gonna go on all 4s actually, and does that make it some sort of fittable kind of platform in which you could fire a ballista shot if I go onto my hands and knees?
Yeah, it's almost like a small pack animal with a mounted weapon on its back.
Oh, I'm just gonna be like, how's it looking from up there, guys? Does this look scary?
I mean, actually, yes. I would not want to be on the receiving end of this.
Hell yeah!
It's not gonna hurt you if we fire, is it?
Nah. What could possibly go wrong?
Okay.
As Glut then realizes that the sword strapped to their back, they now cannot reach because the ballista is pinning it in place. But that's fine. We probably won't need it anyway.
Okay.
And I'm gonna again waddle like a child taking its first steps into the castle.
Are you all heading in behind your well-armed companion?
Zell's gonna pause and have one of her healing potions first. So she'll pause and then knock that back. So I'll just...
Is it just a regular healing potion, yeah?
Yeah, potion of healing.
Beautiful, so that will be... have you got it there?
2d... Yeah, 7 hit points she gets back. That's fine. Okay, cool.
Beautiful. Anything else, Boglak, you want to do before you head inside?
Oh, I think just... Yeah, Boglak's just very confused. Follows after Glut. Intrigued, maybe. Intrigued more than confused.
Confused? What's confusing about just a walking ballista? Pretty self-explanatory.
I mean, it does not hurt to be this well defended. Let's hope we actually do some damage with it.
And the definitely doesn't hurt Glut.
Step back into the darkened interior. You now all see what Glut saw during Glut's brief foray into the dungeons. That this castle is not well maintained, that the braziers for the most part are unlit. There's just a few torches flickering on the walls, leaving trails of soot up the stone. Tapestries have been taken down, flags depicting the Kelmar colours have been taken down, replaced with black flags with sort of whitish silver thistles painted across them. You get the impression the castle has not been well cared for during the time that the Knights of the Silver Thistle have been here. And once again, there is silence, but this time distantly through the silence you can hear a kind of scraping sound, almost like metal moving slowly across stone.
Alright, Glut's gonna slowly creep forward, but obviously as there's the creaking of the massive wood thing, they're gonna cough with every step to see if that covers the noise of the metal scraping. So it's like takes another step, it's and just walking down his corridor coughing.
The coughs echoing around, they do actually kind of blend out the creaking of the crossbow in your back.
And I want to head towards the direction of the noise.
Zell, as they're walking, is just gonna say it just seems way too quiet in here.
Do you need me to cough louder?
Please don't cough louder.
Yeah, Glut immediately starts coughing even louder than before, like hacking, closely.
As you enter into the kind of foyer space, the atrium from which the stairs rise to the upper levels, you notice, or rather Gloot would notice, that the two guards who stood outside the study door at the upper landing are no longer there. You know that when you were fleeing through the castle, you heard various people kind of join the chase behind you. You don't know if the guards were among them. They certainly didn't come out into the yard outside. But there's no sign of them now.
Are the doors still shut?
The study door still is shut.
But that is that the noise where the scraping is originating from?
Give me a perception check.
17.
You can tell that the sound is coming from somewhere below you, probably from down in the lower floor from which the dungeons can be accessed.
Okay. Glow just mentioned to their like the party that like this room was guarded earlier, but whatever has happened, it no longer seems important enough to like maintain guarded. I have no idea what this room is for. Like, this isn't where the prisons are. The prisons are kept lower than here, but we wanted to investigate this room first, or should we just go for what we came for?
Zell look to Boglach and be like, it's up to you. I feel like we might be running out of time here.
I think it makes sense. We had Chamelia keep separate. She transformed. So I'm guessing
She
you
was in
didn't
the
see
lower
Chamelia
dungeon.
in the prison, did you, when you were down there, Gloot?
I can't remember. Sorry, I was too busy planning my escape to really take too much notice of my surroundings.
She was in the lower dungeon in cell 14. So I don't know if it would be best to go down there or if we...
Yeah. No
Okay.
information we can really work
You know
on.
what? If this place isn't important enough to guard anymore, it's probably not even worth checking out. And I'll start leading the party down to where I was getting taken when I was almost getting imprisoned.
Head down into what was at one time the servants' quarters before it seems that the Silver Thistle largely dismissed most of the servants. You come down into this large empty kitchen space and go beyond that to where a bare uncarpeted stone stair winds down into the darkness of the dungeon. Standing at the top of the stairs, you see a figure dragging themselves slowly up, kind of hand over hand up the stone stairs. Their heavy plate armor still gleaming and new, kind of scraping over the stones as they kind of inch their way up. It appears to be one of the castle guards.
Glow drops to all fours.
Boglach will approach them and, sort of kneel down next to them if they can, and just sort of go. Are they heavily wounded? Are the wounds of a particular type, or?
As you kind of bend down next to them, you can see this individual appears to be a sort of half-orc man. And although there's no visible wounds on his back, you can see that there's a trail of blood going down the stairs behind him, presumably from some kind of wound on his front. He kind of comes to a halt as your footsteps come down beside him, and he kind of pushes himself up slightly, levering himself up against the wall. You see that the front of his breastplate has been kind of partially torn open, and there are huge raking gouge marks down across his chest, blood weeping out of him, kind of pulsing with every heartbeat, dripping down onto the stones. You can see between the white kind of tusks rising up from his mouth, there's little dribbles of blood coming down. He goes, "Oh, don't go down there. It's too late. She's already out."
Do you have any answer if this happened, or were you just hoping she wouldn't transform?
The bars are touched with silver. She couldn't pass them. But, and he kind of, his eyes focus a little bit in on Gloot and goes, "You, this is your fault. Tam tried to tackle you. The keys fell from him. She managed to scoop him through the bars."
Doesn't quite sound like my companion's fault, does it? Sounds like two were
Nuh-uh.
bad guards.
Nuh-uh, that wasn't me. Nuh-uh. I'm also gonna like look over my shoulder and just be like, Zell, I think maybe you should load me up.
Does the guy look like these wounds are fatal?
It looks like he's pretty close to death. He's kind of bleeding out. You
So-
can see that clutched in one of his hands, he's holding a heavy kind of black iron key.
Yeah, but we got to practice. We should get one practice shot. Take the shot,
Oh,
Zale. Take the shot.
Hold on.
Zale, take the shot.
There's too much going on. I need to think.
Zale,
I'm
think
going
about
to stand in
taking a
front. I'm going to
shot.
stand
I don't know
between
how.
Blue and the guard.
I don't know how to aim this thing. You're going to be my coordination here.
Boglack,
we
are
don't
you
want-
stepping into the line of fire?
We don't want to kill Chamelia, and we don't want to kill the guards. We don't need. This is a backup thing. If we really need it, we don't need a practice shot.
No,
I'm not
we're-
killing someone just for the sake of it. We're not
We
killing Chamelia.
We literally killed 3 people outside. I'm just saying, a practice shot. When I'm on all fours here. Can I just get up then? I thought we were gonna have a bit of a training moment here before we went to go down to deal with this.
I'm not shooting the guard.
Okay, fine. Glue is gonna try and load one of like their hand axes and like reach behind and see if they can like fit it onto the chamber of the ballista behind them.
You absolutely cannot. You cannot load this ballista from there.
Glut will keep trying. Glut will never succeed, but Glut won't stop trying. Just like
Glut is just like
"Arr."
almost like face down on the stone, just like,
Yeah, still on their knees, but their head is on the floor. There's awkwardly trying to fumble. Their arms are too short. Just trying to like they're more slapping the haft of the axe against the side of the ballista.
the guard kind of like levers themselves up slightly against the wall, more blood kind of like as they're pushing themselves up, more blood kind of spilling out, and goes, I don't have long. You'll need silver if you're going to finish this. And kind of reaches down and pulls out a short blade, a sort of silvered short sword, from a scabbard in his belt. And goes, I didn't have time. I've locked the door, but if you're going inside, take this. And he throws it down at your feet, Zell.
Zell pick both of the items up and just be like, is there anyone alive down there?
The last one. There's more of us, but they're down in the town, finishing some kind of rebellion.
Zell, the silver thing. Put in. I can't get my axe in it. Maybe the silver thing. Put it in here. Put it in the chamber.
Well, why don't we wait until we actually get down there before I line you up ready to fire? I don't want to just. We need to try and reason with her.
Okay,
We've
Glut's gonna try and get up onto their feet, but I feel like as like they get up, like they overbalance leaning forward, and they end up just like plunging like head first kind of down the stairs.
You like stand up for a moment and then just like tip forward, quite top heavy with the crossbar overhead from the crossbow, and go clattering down. There is this like thunderous sound around the small stairwell leading down to the space below. You're going to take 4 points of bludgeoning damage as you just face plant down into the bottom.
Are these
Okay.
spiral stairs?
I know, just a straight run down to the bottom.
Okay.
can-
I've always found funny
So-
about someone falling down spiral stairs.
So Glut outrun the fall, but then just like head plants into the door. They don't even make it to the door. They just eat dirt.
Oh, if you think Glut would have the capacity to try and like break their fall and then kind of like
I know,
stabilize.
it's like when you stumble and you can like outrun the fall.
Yeah, give me
Yeah.
a dexterity check. Give me a dexterity saving throw rather.
Saving throw. Oh, a dirty 20.
Oh yeah. In fact, you do not take bludgeoning damage. You kind of like have you seen Studio Ghibli where Spirited Away when the girl is running down the stairs and like any one small step wrong and you're going to like faceplant it, but you're able to just with your momentum flow down the stairs and kind of come to a stop like nose like there in front of the wooden door.
I kind of feel like Glut would be too excited by the run and think that she's charging at the door. So can I use that momentum to then slam myself into the door?
Absolutely. Do you want to try and break the door down? Is that what, with that momentum?
I feel like Glut would totally forget
As
what they
Zell
were doing,
follows
but
with
yeah,
me.
because they were like outrunning the fall. So yeah, I feel like Glut would be trying to break down that door.
Give me an unarmed attack as you come down there.
An unarmed attack. Crit.
Oh, roll damage.
Damn, getting all the good rolls out of the way before we fucking fight a werewolf.
Yeah.
That is 8 bludgeoning.
Let me just check how much HP a door has. Yeah, you slam into it. There's a loud kind of like creaking sound. This is a heavily reinforced sort of interior castle door, so the door doesn't go down. But you can hear the sound of the wood and the metal kind of creaking under your weight as you do damage.
Okay, Glut's gonna be somewhat disappointed the door didn't come off the hinges, and just like, they're gonna rage and give it a swift kick.
Absolutely. As you're starting to weigh in, are the others coming down the stairs? Or are you staying up there with the dying guard?
No, Zell's just gonna be like, I'm so sorry to the guard, but thank you for your help. And then she's gonna head down the stairs, because obviously doesn't want Glut to have to face this werewolf potentially alone. So I guess she'll maybe get down just as Glut's kicking the door.
You dart down as you see Glut now just like slamming into the door. Boglach, as you pass by the guard reaches up and like grabs like the hem of your cloak and kind of like pulls at it and goes, "Listen to me, please," and kind of like pulls at you.
I will cast first level healing word on the guard. That's possible.
Absolutely. You cast that, you see a little bit of kind of colour returns to his face. You see some of those wounds on his chest still covered in blood, but the wounds seem to kind of like stitch and become a little bit narrower as he seems to sort of stabilise under that influence. He's kind of like tugging at you as if trying to like pull you down towards him. As he's doing that, Glut, can you give me another attack?
Yeah, that's a 15.
That hits it.
And then that is 4 damage.
4 damage. The thing is starting to look pretty kind of like beat up. You get the impression probably one more good hit you could probably cave it in. Zell.
Yeah, okay, so like I said, so Glut thought it'd be really cool. Yeah, Glut thought it'd be really.
Well, Zell's gonna come running down the stairs and be like, I have the key!
Yeah, well, Glut's not really. Glut doesn't really listen to that, and headbutts the door because they really hope they can break it with like the charge down the stairs. And now this door is like an affrontation to Glut's strength, and Glut's stronger than all.
As Glut goes 1v1 with this door, and Zell, you're standing like behind Glut holding the key, like, mate. Boglach, the guard kind of like pulls at you. Are you passing him by, or are you staying there?
So after I cast a healing word, I'm going to say, can you get on your feet?
He kind of staggers slowly upright. You can still see he's very like pale, lots of blood loss, but he seems to be kind of like upright and able to move.
Say, or werewolf hunters, are you not?
Yes. I'm not a werewolf hunter. I was City Watch. I signed up along with some of the other folks. It looked like the winning side to be on.
You signed up for it to hunt werewolves, no?
I mean, I've never seen a werewolf in my life until tonight. I don't intend to see one. I'm going to leave the town.
You kind of signed up to it, so we're going to have to go down the stairs now.
Yes, listen, I can give you some information in return for my freedom. You've already saved my life and I appreciate that, but I cannot go back down those stairs.
It's the information.
Do I have your word that you'll let me go free?
See?
I don't know what the Silver Thistle are planning. Again, I'm just City Watch here in Lochilvin, and they give me a better salary and the chance of promotion. But they've been doing something, I don't know. They've kitted out all of the City Watch with the best gear possible. We're way too armed to deal with the normal stuff we deal with, petty thievery and that kind of thing. And I've heard rumours, and I don't know what it is, that there's been something going on in the sewers. That we're one of the few towns that has a full sewer system through the whole place. And there's been... Some of the knights have been going down, sometimes with Captain Carlo, into the sewers, taking boxes down there, that kind of thing. I don't know what it is they're planning, but they're planning for something.
I don't know what the plan is.
I don't... They put in the crossbow bolts, that was recent. They've fixed up the gate. They completely removed the old one and put in a new one. The old one was fine. I don't know what the issue with it was, but it was the first thing they did once they had control of the town. And they've been doing something in the sewers. Now listen, I don't know more than that, but it doesn't sit right with me. I feel like they've not been honest with us.
Be honest, I knew half of that information already.
You can see his heart sink. He goes,
So, won't quite get your freedom. I suggest that you hurry out of here, make your way down to the temple, and stay on the side of the city for once that you were put in place to protect.
he reaches up and grabs a little silver thistle pin from his breast and wrenches it off, throws it down onto the stairs, and goes, "You have my thanks, Druid. I will go to the Temple of the Fates. Thank you." And he turns and, limping slightly, clatters up out of the stairwell.
Black will just be like, "Oh, that banging! What's? I thought we had a key and start
As you look down to the bottom of the stairs, can you give me one more unarmed strike?
Oh yeah,
Phil's just holding the key in her hand, like, pointlessly.
Am I a joke to you?
that one's a 13.
13, you like slam into the door, but this time you're just a little bit off, and you're almost kind of like slam into the metal bar across the door rather than the wood, which is the more vulnerable part. You don't actually deal any damage that time.
I whip my head back and headbutt it again.
Absolutely.
Can Zell like try and shuffle past Glute a little bit to try and like put the key in the door? Be like, we're wasting time here.
14.
14, you slam your head in, and you're going to take 3 points of bludgeoning damage, but as your head slams into the door, you hear wood splintering, and the door just forward and crashes onto the stone floor. There's a little cloud of dust rises. Metal splinters across the interior, and you see yourself looking down the length of a long, dimly lit corridor, the walls lined with barred cells. The corridor runs away from you into the sort of the distance and then curves out of sight to the right. You can see, looking into the corridor, several broken, twisted forms, the bodies of silver thistle knights lying in pools of slowly spreading blood about halfway along the corridor. And at the far end of the corridor, you can see another of the guards lying again in a sticky red pool. Hunched over this figure with their back to you, you see an enormous shape. For a moment, you're not even sure quite what you're looking at. There is a vague hint of a humanoid form here. Broad shoulders, long limbs, kind of crunched small legs. This is almost an ape-like figure, its body covered in coarse grey hair. The huge sort of shaggy head is down as you step through. But as that door crashes onto the stone flags, the creature slowly turns, and you see looming up over one shoulder just this gleaming orange eye lit up by the flickering flames of the torches that are spaced at intervals along the corridor. The creature slowly turns, and you see this very long wolf-like face, but far larger and more gaunt and monstrous than any wolf you might have seen out in the forest. Huge dripping yellow fangs smeared with blood, the long tangled matted hair around the mouth already wet and dark. And as these eyes narrow towards you, you hear this voice, and it says, "Where is my daughter?"
So Zell was like obviously going forward with the key when the door fell, so she's kind of like standing awkwardly holding the key. And she's kind of then gonna like put her hands up almost in like surrender, and be like, "We have spoken to your daughter. We can take you to her."
What are the others doing?
Backing up what Zell says.
Just like what she said.
Glut is still raging, so I feel like when they
no,
crash on the
Glut.
door, they're just like railing punches on the door just because it dared to like defy Glut for a moment. So I'm just like overhand smashing repeatedly on the door.
And Zell's just like, "Ignore that. We can take you to your daughter."
Very slowly, the creature turns towards you. Again, in that almost like ape-like movement, it's hunches forward slightly. Its huge, hairy fist supporting it on the flagstones. This long, almost like horse-like, blood-soaked Vulpine face, leering towards you out of the gloom as it begins to slowly stalk towards you, and it says, "Where is Rona?"
Patrick. Remember Patrick?
The creature stops for a moment, kind of twists its head slightly to the side. It's listening.
Zell still got her hands up, and she's gonna say, "We met Patrick and Rona a few days ago, and they sent us here to come and get you."
Lies. Lies. And it kind of moves towards you. Can you both make persuasion checks? And one of you has to get above 16, or both of you have to get above a 13.
I got 13.
A -1, we'll see how this goes.
Oh!
I got 13.
No, what is it? Oh, 15.
15.
Yes!
We both got above 13.
Yes!
Like lagged there for a second, and I was like, "Where is it? Where is it?"
The combined kind of treaties and calming voices coming from both Zell and Boglak seem to kind of slow the creature for a moment, and it pauses and goes, "Will you bring them to me?"
We don't know exactly where they are right now. We agreed to take you back to meet your brother. Where did we agree to take them?
The stone circle. Too dangerous to bring them here.
Yeah, it'd be far too dangerous. There's a huge rebellion happening in the town. We don't want them to get hurt. We could take you to the stone circle, and they'll be waiting for you there with your brother. But you can't protect them again. You can't protect them down in the town on the way up here. You won't be there. Why don't we take you to them?
Werewolf stalks slowly forward down the passageway. You can see it's not moving at a fast pace. You can tell though every muscle is wound and tense, as if at the moment's notice it could just lunge across the remaining gap. It just seems to be moving slowly towards you guys right now.
I feel like at this moment Glut is like finally destroyed the door, so like stands up, shakes off their shoulder, finally kind of clocks what's going on, and sees like the giant wolf, like werewolf stalking towards us. And Glut, not really thinking, be like, "Yo, dog man, have you seen Chamelia?"
Chamelia! I was gonna have Zell just be like, "Please, Chamelia," just there, so.
As you jump up and say that, your voice sort of like echoes out around the hall. The werewolf comes to a halt just a few feet away from you, Glut, and kind of like leans in for a moment, eyes narrowed, sniffing it. You can smell the kind of like salty, tangy, metallic smell of the blood that soaks the front of the creature's mouth, and she pauses for a moment, goes, "I just want my daughter." And she kind of like slumps forward, and as she slumps forward, you see the hair seems to kind of almost like flow like liquid back over her skin, rippling away, and just a moment later, this frail, pale form of this woman slumps forward, kind of tattered, blood-stained rags of her clothes still hanging around her, as she just kind of slumps forward, partly against Glut and partly against Chamelia, returning into her human form, red hair, slick with sweat and dirt and blood, just like scraped down over her face.
Zell's gonna take her cloak off, and as she kind of like transforms back, she's gonna like put it round Chamelia's shoulders.
She begins to kind of like shiver very intensely, and you just kind of pull that cloak around her. She kind of almost just leans against you and goes, I just need to find my family. Who are you?
My name is Zell. This is Glut, and this is Boglach. We met Padrick and Rona in Valach a few days ago, and they were being pursued by Silver Thistle Knights, and they sent us here to try and rescue you. One of them told us you were still alive.
Okay. We need to get out of here. I can go to my brother. I can turn him back. But the knights, they will come after us.
I think all the knights in the castle are dead.
What about Carla?
They're all down in the town. We may have incited a rebellion.
Good. Long overdue. Okay. And she kind of staggers upright for a moment, draws a deep breath. You can see she looks very tired, deep bags on her eyes, but there is just this kind of burning glow in her eyes. Not the same animalistic anger that you saw in the werewolf's eyes, but just this fire and this sense of determination lights up behind her eyes. And she goes, okay, we can go. Are you coming with me or are you staying in the town? What's your plan?
You'll go. At least that's
We'll
my
come.
goal.
Yeah, we should go with you, make sure you get back to your brother, and then we can come back to the town and see how the rebellion went.
Alright guys, you stay here, let me go scout out first, and then Glut's gonna run up the stairs, and as the metal ballista starts creaking again, Glut's gonna start their classic strategy of just like as they run up the stairs.
No one can hear the clanking over the coughing as you run back up to the top of the stairs. As you come out onto the top of the stairs, you're the only one who hears this, but you hear a wooden door kind of like slam and soft feet kind of padding in the hallway above.
Glut's gonna like slow down and see if they can creep forward, but just go like like the coughing becomes much less frequent, but and a little softer.
As you move forwards, are you heading to the upper floor or staying down in the kitchen kind of area?
I'll start. I'll head up. I'll head up.
As you start heading up, Boglach and Zell, what are you doing?
Zell is going to be walking with Chamelia, kind of like almost with her arm around her shoulders to kind of like hurry her up the stairs since she looks like she's in such a bad way.
I think I'll take the weight of Chamelia instead and say you probably be best to have your bow out. I can cast with
great.
one hand if needed, but no, I don't want you struggling. Something
Fair.
happens because Chamelia is right. Might be
Dangerous.
maybe others to contend with.
As you guys set off up the stairs, you notice that Glut has disappeared around the corner, and Chamelia kind of leaning into Boglach, which is quite a bit shorter than Boglach, so you're able to kind of like just kind of hoist her up slightly and get her up the stairs. And as you're going, she goes, I don't understand. They never questioned me. They said they already had all the information they needed. I don't know why they bother keeping me alive. And as you get up to the top of the stairs, Glut, you're kind of coming up into the hallway space. You see an elderly man wearing a long kind of flowing purple robe and holding a large, very sort of heavy golden candelabra up over his head, kind of looking around like that. He has sort of a thinning band of white hair around the back of his head and a sort of wispy little moustache.
Glut drops to all fours.
Who goes there?
A friend.
A friend? Others have claimed to be a friend, and they imprisoned me within my own castle. I will not be so easily fooled. Show me your face, creature.
Glut, like, on all fours, like, drives up onto, like, their knees and stares at the old man.
The two of you kind of in a sort of moment of standoff across the hall, like stare at each other, and the old man kind of like slightly ineffectively shakes his candelabra as your companions sort of come up to flank you, Glut, and he goes, you do not wear the colours of the Silver Thistle.
Zell's gonna look at him and go, "Are you Lord Kelmar?"
I am Lord Dennis Kelmar, and this is my castle. The guards left me unattended, and so I effected a daring escape.
All the guards in the castle are dead.
Splendid news! Oh, how did he meet such a wicked end?
Just things happened. We actually we worked with one of your family members, Logoth, down in Hurlwick.
I remember well, a fine young man.
I don't think you'll really have to worry about the Silver Thistle for now.
Is there reinforcements coming from Kelmar?
Not quite.
We are the reinforcements.
Yeah.
Splendid. Well, some kind of ruckus happening in the town. I think I'm going to lead a sortie out, finish this once and for all. And if you're the reinforcements, I imagine you will be following close behind me.
Yeah, I heard they were crucifying the old guy down at the temple. Sounds kind of bad.
Leland?
Yeah.
Oh.
We...
I'm sure Leland will be fine. A lot of the town have risen up against the Thistles. Maybe you...
Well, we hope they have.
It sounds like they have. The smoke is either, a sign of victory or a sign of incredibly quick loss. I don't... Maybe as the... Actually, never mind. If you want to run first into battle on behalf of Clan Kelmar, who am I to stop you? Well, we'll just quieten down.
I knew I would have your support. I won't even need to look over my shoulder. I know that the Kelmar's finest will be at my back.
No.
Splendid, it's time to take the fight to Captain Carla. And he turns and begins hobbling towards the door, with candelabra like up over his head.
Like being called a different clan, Keldonis, but well, maybe it's good. Maybe maybe somebody else can take over instead once this is all over. Like he's kind of.
We're just sending him to his death. He's not going to do well out there.
Nah, he. Do you not hear him? He said he launched a daring escape himself. He can clearly.
He has a candelabra as a weapon, guys.
We're not going to let him march into battle. I just think.
I've killed people with stuff much less threatening than a candelabra.
You're not an old
where the battle
man.
is. You could send him somewhere. It's like a safe part of town.
Okay, then why don't you just lie and tell him that the fighting's going on at the market square?
Tell him that. Yeah, okay, let's do that.
Tatiana's? Yeah, that Tatiana.
Well, no, she is a warrior. She's a warrior of great renown. I don't know if that's maybe the best idea.
But the fight won't be outside her place. So yes. Is he still there?
He's off up the
He
corridor.
wasn't being very fast.
Him is pretty solid. He's like hurpling towards the main doors at the moment.
It would just be so funny if we were all discussing this and it's like, well, he's gone.
He's dead.
A really fast old man. He's a really, really fast.
So Zell's going to call out, wait! As he... The fighting is near the Crone's Eye Apothecary. Go there.
Tatiana, of course she be causing trouble, the old bitch. And he
Sorry, I don't really think you should use that word to describe women.
pushes the door open and storms out. Dennis Kelmar is not a very enlightened soul, I'm afraid.
My thoughts for that old man have significantly dropped with that last comment.
He vanishes through the door.
It's like, never mind, he can die.
and
Actually,
into
the
the night.
fightings.
It's actually at the Temple of the Faith.
So the Temple of the Faith.
This is Zell's going to turn back to Chamelia and go, right, let's get you out of here.
You can head back out into the courtyards. As you emerge, Chamelia goes, "There's a stable around the side. We can get horses if needs be."
It's okay.
That sounds...
We brought our own ride, and Bucklack will walk out to see the destroyed wine car and go, that merchant's never going to get this back now.
There's just this like huge pool of red wine in the street, and just the burnt kind of remains of the wagon.
The stables it is. Just a nervous look in their face as they walk back in.
Zell's just gonna look absolutely crestfallen and be like, that poor wine merchant. He I promised him we'd get it back tomorrow.
I did say a month, so we have a month to sort it out.
After Buglach's ridiculous tirade.
Bought yourself some time. You can head round. There's a large stable round to the right hand side of the castle, of the main keep. Stepping in, you find a variety. There's not that many horses here. It seems that most were taken out for the column to ride down into the town. But there's enough for two of you to mount up, with sort of doubling up with Glute on one horse with a rider, and Chamelia on the other.
Glute doesn't trust horses. Glute thinks horses look kind of evil, and just gets really uneasy around the creatures. So go bit, nah, fuck that. Gets our axe out and just cuts himself loose of the ballista and be like, I'll run.
Oh, Glute,
Are
you
you
have to jump
sure?
on it. It's way quicker.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. And Glute then, using, like, they only cut off like half of the rope, and with the other half they tie it around their waist and like tie it under like the saddle horn as well, so they're like attached to the back of the horse via this rope, and be like, it's fine. I'll just run with this rope's assistance. Trust me.
Is that a good?
I've done it plenty of times. Glute has never done this before. I've done this plenty of times.
I
Are
mean,
you?
Glute, you could just run beside the horse if you didn't want to get onto the horse.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't need to attach yourself to the horse.
But
That's a
horses
level of danger that really
horses
isn't
are.
needed.
It's in case we need to run fast. Horses are faster than me. As much as
You
I
will
hate to
get-
admit it.
Yeah, which
You
is
will
why
get
should jump on the
dragged
horse.
along. Yeah.
No,
that's why you should
trust
just-
me. I've done this plenty of times.
No,
I have. I have.
Look, we are not dragging you through the town.
Okay, fine. Are the dead soldiers still out in the courtyard?
Oh yeah, they're all over the place.
Do any of them have shields?
The guards have small, kind of rounded wooden shields.
Could I sit on one?
Yeah, you could just kind of put one down on the ground, almost like a sledge, and attach that to the back.
Yeah,
of the horse.
Surfing.
Yeah.
Stand on it.
I'm gonna grab one of the shields and sit on it and be like, okay, fine. Is this better?
it's somehow way safer. It's not ideal,
That-
but we really don't
that-
have time to.
Okay.
See the time we've spent arguing? We could have just been going this entire time.
Yeah, fair.
You'd be dragged along the streets. You'd be. you'd be dead.
Actually, what Glute does is they grab a second one and they attach them, like they attach the buckles of one to like each foot, so it's more like rollerblades but on their feet with shields.
Yeah, okay, I'm for that. Shield surfing will definitely be safer than dragging you through the stone cobbled streets of the town, trying to keep up with a horse. So Zell's gonna jump on the horse that Glute is attached to.
I think Boglach is going to cast guidance on Glute before they take off, and just be like,
You're giving me pointers on how to shield surf.
like at any point something dangerous or something happens, just remember that you chose to do this, so you must somewhat be in control of the outcome.
Again, I've done this so many times. Don't worry.
All right, let's
Sure.
go. Boglach, is Chamelia sharing with you?
Yeah, sounds good.
Perfect. We're gonna take off and head down to the town. Zell's kind of like feeling the weight of Glute shield surfing beside her with the rope. How well does that go?
So you guys set out past the burnt out wreck of the wine merchant's caravan into the street. As the horse begins to pick up some speed, can we just get a dexterity saving throw from Glute?
I just feel like thematically it would make sense that Glut fails because they've never done anything like this before in their entire life.
Well,
Have you ever tried something though and just been perfect at it straight away? I mean, it does happen.
give it a roll.
Yeah, actually, you know what? Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe Glut just has some.
Field surfing happens in Zelda.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, that's a 9.
No.
You guys like set off, and you feel for a moment that your horse is moving a little bit slower, and then your horse is moving like fast, no problem. You glance over your shoulder, you see that the shields are still attached at the back, and Glut is like bouncing, like rolling back down the road through a pool of red wine across the street behind you. Glut is not going to take too much damage from that, just going to take 2 points of bludgeoning from the kind of boom impact off the shields.
I want to scream that if you dare stop, if you dare stop, I will hurt you. I will. I just keep going. Please just keep going.
Okay, we'll come back for you.
Am I not still? Am I getting dragged now at this point?
You're not attached.
I thought I was.
Are you attached in addition to the shields?
Yeah. I tied a rope around myself and to the horse's saddle as well.
Okay, in that case, you are now just bouncing down the road behind them.
Okay, Zell's gonna pull the horse to a halt and be like, "Look, this isn't working.
Okay,
the shields would have worked had the dexterity roll been higher. It's not the engineering works.
As the horse starts to stop and Glut's starts approaching it as they get up, they're just gonna smack the horse's flank just to see if they can just a pure on its flank to get it running again.
Give me an animal handling check.
Oh, I'm actually.
I mean, it's just to come and hit a horse. It's probably gonna run away.
17.
17. You just clap that horse on the hindquarters, and the horse leaps forward, galloping off down the street with you bouncing along behind it. You will take a whole lot of damage as you go down the street. Are you just going to keep going as you bounce along?
I'm gonna continuously try to see if they can readjust themselves mid-bounds to see if they can try and salvage the technique at least somewhat.
Yeah, have you still got the shoes attached to your feet?
Yeah. I
in that case, give me another dexterity check. For the first, while you're trying to do that, you're going to take 12 points of bludgeoning damage as you start bouncing down the street. But give me another dexterity check.
We cannot lose.
That's 18. That's 18.
You were able to. You take a couple of really bad blows. Cracking the jaw off. Your arm is almost twisted out of its socket. But then you're able to stabilize. And looking back, your companions can see the small figure of Glut kind of surfing, blood streaming out of myriad cuts and bruises, bouncing down the street. Chamelia goes, "You keep some strange company." As you guys start bouncing down the street and galloping down, you pass the small figure clutching their candelabra, and I'll see you at the crow's eye. At the crone's eye. Kind of waving the candelabra over his head. Are you heading straight for the gate?
Yeah, we're gonna head straight to get, because obviously the threat was that if we didn't get Chamelia back in time, the whole town would be massacred. So I vote we're probably heading straight back to the stone circle.
Absolutely. You set off down the road, and you see the streets are a little bit quieter, but there's still some people around. You can see it seems to be a couple of people that are kind of on their way, vacating the kind of various sort of the spiraling chaos downtown. You see the occasional townsfolk kind of hurrying by. A couple of them heading for the gates just to try and get clear of whatever this whole situation is. Others vanishing into their doors. Every now and then, a horse will just gallop by with blood sprayed across the side of it, and the sort of the gear of a silver thistle guard still kind of clinging to the horse's saddle. You can see further down at the bottom of the town, every now and then the buildings will part. You'll see between two buildings flames roaring up from some kind of blaze down in the square around the Temple of the Fates, smoke billowing up, screams and the clashing of steel. But it seems to be that is kind of holding all the attention of everyone down there, and there's no guards or knights of any kind on the road as you head down towards the gates.
Fantastic. But yeah, they'll just battle through the gates and head for the stone circle that we agreed we would meet the brother at.
You gallop out, and away the town of Lochilvin begins to recede behind you. You kind of glance over your shoulder one last time, seeing the low clouds in the night sky lit up orange from the inferno below. You can see the high tower of the belfry of the tower of the Temple of Fates sort of looming up against the flickering flames, and then you're into the trees. The silence tight against your ears, the only sound being the drumming of the hoofs underneath as you head into the forest. And now you kind of have a straight journey ahead of you as you head east again, back through the forest. The standing stones lie a little east of the town of Valach, and you know that the brother is going to be there, probably will pass there like in the early hours of the morning, if the timing kind of works out as you expect. Maybe a little bit into the sort of roundabout dawn, with their intention being to arrive at the town before nightfall or around nightfall the following day. So what is your plan now as you gallop towards the stones?
Be good to make good time so that we could maybe rest up.
Yeah, we could get
Eat
there
around a wee
and then
bit.
rest. Before, like, so if we got there and then we had like a rest after that. How long does it take to get to the stone circle?
So it will take basically the whole of the night. If you just gallop flat out, you'll be able to get there round about dawn. It obviously took much longer on the way up, but that was because you were on foot.
I'm fine just getting there, then going for a nap.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's get there. Hand Chamelia back over and then go for a nap. Fall asleep in the stone circle.
Yeah, Globe's kind of sleepy.
You guys press on, the night passes away. At times the clouds shred above you and you see that moon almost full, glowing in the sky above, a promise of the full moon that will surely be high in the sky tomorrow night. The horses pound on through the quiet streets of Valach, now sort of eerily familiar to you. You notice a baker's store boarded up on the high street, the glass kind of recently repaired after some kind of damage occurred. You cut across the square, dark stain still left on the stonework where the bodies fell, and then out to the other side of the town and continue on. As the first light begins to glimmer in the eastern sky, the first grey kind of tinging into the black, you notice a brambly, overgrown side road cutting off into the trees, and running towards an open clearing on a low hill among the trees. You pull off onto this road, press on a little bit slower through the undergrowth, the overgrown path, and up onto this sort of low bald hill that rises above the tree line. The ancient forest stretching out on either side, the top of the hill crowned with 7 huge grey standing stones. Several of the stones have fallen, but the 4 that remain upright are about 10 feet tall, jutting up into the sky, and it's quiet as you arrive. No one else is here yet.
Dell's gonna bring her horse to a stop. Gloop managed to shield surf all night. I forgot that Gloop was shield surfing when we decided. Yeah, she's gonna pull the horse to a stop and just kind of be like, okay, well at least we're here.
Yeah, Gloop is just gonna like inspect like their red raw forearms, which have just been rope burned to like absolute fuck. Is there like a stream or anything nearby? Any water source?
There's nothing up on the hill. You could go down into the forest and start looking around if you want, or you've also got probably water on your provisions.
But it's like a grassy stone circle, yeah.
Yeah, a grassy hill with stones on it.
Okay, then in which case,
morning dew maybe.
Yeah, Gloat is gonna just like lie down on the floor and just like try and like rub like their whole body into like the floor, because everything just hurts after that.
The sort of damp, cooling moisture begins to like, soak into your clothes and takes a little bit of the grime and blood off you as well as you writhe around. Boglach, you kind of help Chamelia down from the horse, and as you do, she kind of like winces slightly, hits the ground, kind of glances at you sideways and goes, "You must think we're an abomination, my people. I know you're a druid, I can tell by your equipment, the way you carry yourself.
I mean, goods aren't a monolith, at least I don't believe so. Some of the older ways would call you abominations, but we're born with us. I mean, it has to be natural in some way. All sorts of things come natural every single day, so
I hope
to respect it.
in time some more will turn to your way of thinking. For one, I count myself lucky that I have met a few people like Patrick and a few others who are not as close-minded as some, but these days it's... Well, I'm glad that I ran into you. I didn't catch your name, you and your companions.
Oh, Ola, El, and
You're, wandering adventurers? What, mercenaries?
guess we've all hit the road for various reasons, and it can be dangerous out here, so just stick together.
Well, you will always have my thanks, and although the folk of the town may never know your name, you may have saved their lives tonight. My brother is not a forgiving man, and had I died in that cell, had I even been still in the city when he arrived, he would have wreaked terrible vengeance on the folk, indiscriminately. Their only fault is that they were unlucky enough to fall under the yoke of that dreadful gentleman, Captain Carlo. But, well, perhaps my brother can be convinced that on this occasion, more violence is not the answer.
Zell's kind of been like... I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was going to say Zell's kind of been like listening to this as she kind of gets off and gets sorted, and she's just going to be like, I think that town has seen enough violence for one day, considering what it looked like when we left.
Do you know what's going down in the Temple of the Fates?
We kind of, we said that there was going to be a rebellion to try and distract the guards so that we could come into the castle and we wouldn't be facing as many guards. Whether or not there actually has been a rebellion remains to be seen, but it certainly looks that way.
Do you think the people are equipped to deal with that?
No, we're going to have to go back there and check it out. But, I mean, the crones seemed pretty equipped.
Well, I met the crone a couple of times. Tatiana.
Yes, Tatiana.
A good woman, a little strange, but she seemed to know about my situation, but she wasn't judgmental or anything like that. She was, well, it didn't seem to bother her.
Yeah.
Or more people can become open-minded, what can I say?
I hope so. I don't understand, though, why how they even found out about me. I have been very careful. I have never transformed within 10 miles of the town. I was religiously careful about it.
But your daughter...
I didn't think she had transformed anywhere that folk would see. I mean, perhaps word got out, but in a weird way, maybe this is just my imagination, I almost feel that they came looking for me. From the day they arrived in the town, they were asking questions, poking around, going door to door, talking to people, usually ostensibly for just, law and order, making sure that people are respecting the new authority. But I don't know, I knew on some level that sooner or later they would find me. I don't know how.
We did have a kind of inkling that there was something much bigger going on with the Silver Thistle. Maybe you tied into it somehow.
Well, if I can get Rona and Patrick back, I will never return and I will never find out. We'll go somewhere else, start over,
That sounds like a good idea.
Or
Whisperings of what?
they might be planning. Anything to do with sewers, gates, training?
I don't know. Well, there was an odd thing. The rat catcher was complaining that they wouldn't let him down into the sewers recently. It was stopping him from doing his work because most of the rat nests are down in the sewers. But the Silver Thistle said that the sewers had to be locked off for some kind of maintenance, so he hadn't been down there for weeks.
Sure, you had more things on your mind, but even that's helpful. Just be good to stop these thistles once and for all.
Yeah.
As you're standing there, the first golden rays of the sun begin to lance across, striking the top of the standing stones. You hear the kind of the beginning of the dawn chorus rising up, and you almost just breathe a sense of relief, realizing that you've made it here, you've made it out of the town, and that you've got well clear of the sort of the threat of this looming deadline that's been hanging over you for a few days. At that moment, you hear movement in the trees below, the sound of many figures kind of crashing through the undergrowth towards you.
I feel like in this short time that Glut was rolling around in the grass, they got too comfortable and fell asleep.
Oh.
And Glut's quite a deep sleeper, so I feel like they'd be undisturbed by this.
Black is quite nervous, so we'll give Glut a quick kick to the shoulder to wake her up.
Glut, that does not wake up Glut.
Black kicks again.
Just a few more minutes.
Emerging from the tree line at the bottom of the hill, you see first 1, then 2, then 6, then 12 figures emerging from the bushes. They at first appear, they're sort of humanoid figures. You notice a couple of them as they're emerging from the trees. You notice that same effect of the hair seeming to kind of roll back over their faces to reveal the human flesh beneath, as they sort of almost as they step out of the trees, transform back into their human shapes. You see a group of around 15 or 16 individuals, about mixed evenly male and female, wearing sort of loose-fitting, sort of mud-stained clothes, very loose canvas breeches and overtops, the sort of light sort of tattered shirts, deliberately designed to be able to deal with the sudden expansion in size as during transformation. As these figures begin to move up, you notice they're barefooted, their hands and feet covered in mud and kind of like light scratches from the undergrowth. They're led by a figure standing about 7'5", much taller than the ones around him, very broad-shouldered. He doesn't wear a top of any kind. He just has kind of tattered dark brown breeches. His sort of the musculature of his chest layered and lined with innumerable old scars, what look like old claw marks, long since turned to thin white scars. His hair is this thick mane of black hair, swept back, almost like a lion's mane, kind of pushed back behind his ears, wet with sweat, as he comes striding up the hill. And he comes up and goes, "Chamelia!" She sort of springs up and runs to him, and he enfolds her into his arms, and they just stand there for a moment, unmoving. He just sort of breathes in her smell and then kind of like steps past her, one hand still on her shoulder, and goes, "Who are you?"
We're the people that met Patrick and Rona a couple of days ago. Went and rescued Chamelia.
We met Patrick on the road. He told us of you. Have you effected this escape?
Well, yes.
We owe you a great debt. I owe you more than I can ever repay. The werewolves of Cairnbarra Hills will always be your allies. And he lowers his head, kind of steps forward and places a hand on each of your shoulders, one by one. And goes,
Well,
I am Ravik, leader of the clan. We have not stopped moving since we heard the news. Word arrived about 4 days ago.
Oh, you would have been right on time. You stayed onto the. Yeah.
What's that?
Bobak just looked really nervous. And it's like, no, you would have been. You would have. It was just good timing.
Well, Good timing, and we wouldn't have let anything happen to my sister. We would have arrived in time, wreaked a terrible vengeance on the scum that imprisoned her, burnt that fucking castle to the ground, tore it down every stone. Is Captain Carlaw dead?
We don't know if he's dead yet, but we're going to go back to the town to find out what's happened. There was violence when we left.
Oh, and there will be violence when we return. Chamelia, go to your husband and your daughter. We'll take care of this. And she goes, Ravik, listen to me. He goes, listen. Listen. The people of the town did nothing to harm me. They were nothing but kind to me, and they couldn't stand up to them when I was taken. There was nothing they could have done. They were outgunned, but they were. And the werewolf kind of puts a hand on her shoulder and goes, listen, someone in that town informed upon you. Someone in that town got word of you or your daughter and turned you in like common criminals. They are not our friends, and they never will be. He turns back towards you and goes, you must understand this. The silver thistle cannot be allowed to fester there like a wound. It will spread.
And it won't. We took out like half of this, well, maybe not quite half, but we certainly took out a lot of the silver thistle, and we think the town might have done the rest. Let us at least go back and find out what happened before you go and...
Got to think as well, a bit like your wolf pack here. Thistles are led by Carlaw. You don't need to fight all the thistles. If you were to fall, and Boglak sort of again gets a bit nervous as they like look across all the other like werewolves, and it's like, if you were to fall, I'm not saying that they would all run away. I'm just saying that there would be dissonance in the ranks, and if they were weaker, which the thistles are weaker, a lot of them would probably scatter. Not you. I'm saying you as a pack are very strong.
Ravik steps very close to Boglak. You can smell the kind of stale stench of the sweat kind of rising off him as he kind of leans in and goes, do you think us so weak that we would scatter like rats if I fell?
No, he's not saying that. He's just...
That kind of sounds exactly what you're saying.
Like you were asleep, were you not?
Glute, you weren't even awake a minute ago.
Yeah, and you woke me up. And now there's this big guy talking about being wanting to fight, and you're saying that he shouldn't fight. That's who you're telling this man shouldn't fight.
Remember, we didn't want the werewolves to massacre the town, Glute.
I thought we wanted them to.
No, we've already had this conversation, Glute. We didn't want the werewolves to massacre the town. Zelle's gonna rub her temples here.
We are not savage monsters. We will not slaughter the town, only those we deem responsible for my sister's ordeal.
But how do you know who's responsible?
I will ask them. One by one, I will pin them against a wall and demand answers. I will look into their eyes, and if I see a hint of a lie, I will end their wretched lives.
That doesn't sound like the most effective interrogation technique. Why don't you let us go back to the town and find out?
I mean, it is an interrogation technique that a lot of adventuring parties I come across, and they'll usually interrogate, and then at the first sign of something being off, they'll usually turn to violence. But you've learned from many a travel.
That sounds smart.
They're not gonna give you an honest answer when they're feared for their lives, but they might happen to answer us honestly because we've just come into the town. We've befriended some people there a little. We can ask around and find out.
You have done me a great service. You have saved my sister, and I am in your debt. For that, I will give you this. A day.
Is that really all your sister's life is worth? A day?
Tomorrow
Can we not at least have 2? We need to sleep. We've not slept all night because we were running here. Please just give us 2 days so we can rest, get back to the town.
In 2 days' time, Captain Carlaw could have fled. I cannot let that happen.
I think Captain Carlaw might not be a problem. Trust me, we don't like the Silver Thistle either. We are not going to let them get away.
Here is my proposition. You can return to the town. mediate, kill, whatever you think is best. I will be at the gates of Lochilvin at midnight tomorrow.
Okay.
If I am not handed the men or women responsible for the imprisonment of my sister, I will find them myself.
Okay. Okay, thank you. We will meet you at the gate tomorrow at midnight.
He kind of nods and turns away and then goes, pauses for a moment and goes, that being said, if Captain Carlaw is not in the town when I arrive, and if you cannot hand him to me, alive or dead, I will hold you personally responsible.
Wait. We still saved Chamelia's life.
And for that, I am giving you time.
Yeah, we have
Do
the
not
plan of
push me.
whatever in our... Yeah.
I have a question.
Aye.
See how you guys like transform into wolves and stuff?
Aye.
How do you do it?
He kind of leans down and goes, do you desire the gift of lycanthropy?
So I'm more of like a bear guy myself. Do you know
There
what I
are
mean?
were-bears in this land. A proud people.
Like human bear people?
Aye, and not those twisted with a curse, but born with gift.
Oh. Do you know where they are? Do you know where they live?
And he pauses for a moment, sizing you up and goes, do you have what it takes to bear such a gift?
Glow's gonna puff out their chest and try and make themselves look. Actually, Glow's gonna do what bears do and puts their arms up like this to make themselves look taller and more intimidating. And I'll look the man in the eyes and go, "You tell me."
Yes.
Sorry, no, because obviously Glow's like 5 foot. They look at us like, "You tell me."
Kind of nods and goes, go to Glen Yora. Go to the Archenbar ruins. If you are worthy of the gift, you will find those there willing to bestow it upon you.
Okay. Thank you.
Now go and save such lives as you can.
I'm really sorry. I have one more question.
Aye?
And just as a favor for that beautiful nugget of knowledge, say we find Captain Carlaw. Would you want us to deal with him, or would you want that privilege yourself?
If you can bring me to him and lay him alive before my feet, I will be grateful for you. But my primary concern is that he does not live to continue his reign of terror on this land. Kill him or bring him to me.
Okay, we'll make sure
Okay.
one of those things happens, hopefully.
Okay. Consider it done.
I will see you at the gates one night hence.
It's a promise.
Tomorrow at midnight.
He nods.
Are Patrick and Rona there? Like, can we see the reunion with Chamelia and Patrick and Rona? That's why I was here.
So looking around, you don't see them there.
No.
They go.
We just got a dickhead brother.
That's so disappointing.
Laundry list of do this, do that.
I know, right? Oh, you saved my sister's life. I'll give you 2 days, a day to find this guy. On a town that's like a night's ride away.
Sounds like a thistle I met.
I know.
No time at all to get anything done.
He and Captain Carlo would get on great with their work ethic.
We're one and the same, Carlo and Rack. If you really think of it.
Now, I was just going to mention that Patrick and Rona are several days away from here. They continued to the east. Once our business is done here, we will go with you to them. I know Patrick will wish to give you his thanks.
Okay, but
And you
we'll
can
meet
witness the reunion of Chamelia
Okay.
and her family.
Good.
Funny that just came to mind there.
Okay, well, we'll bid you adieu and we'll see you tomorrow at midnight. At the 12th bell, I suppose.
Rabbit nods and turns, and with his werewolves and Chamelia, they sort of melt away into the trees.
Okay, is anyone else exhausted?
Yeah, I could really go for a sleep.
Could we just have a nap before we head back to that town?
You can take a full long rest if you wish to.
Yeah,
let's do it.
I would take a full long rest.
A short rest. Really got a ton of time.
Ah, we've managed.
It's gone now. So
How long is a long rest? 8 hours?
8 hours. And by horse,
okay, so...
it would take you. Let's say you wait 8 hours. It gets you around to like kind of late afternoon sort of time. If you then set off, you'll probably arrive on horseback round about midnight back in the town.
And then that'll give us a full 24 hours to sort out what happened and deliver
I guess
Carla.
Time is kind of of the essence when it comes to Captain Carla, though.
I think we should long rest, though. We're best.
Let's long rest. We're all low on.
Okay. Go full strength. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So Zelle's gonna pull out her bedroll, tuck in, and fall asleep, probably like that.
Glow's gonna go back into the exact same position they were before they were so rudely awakened.
Hey,
and fall back asleep.
Black is going to be confused and then go down to the town nearby and rent a room, lay down in a comfy bed.
No, Zell doesn't give a shit about that.
Maybe have a wash and some time.
You head back to Valach and back to the comfortable tavern where you stayed just a few days earlier. You get a room, a good rest, a bite to eat down in the tavern.
Good druid always knows when to camp rough, when to in full use of utilities.
I would take a silver piece from you to stay there. And
silver pieces.
Huh?
It's 2 silver pieces and 1 for yourself. It's a lovely rest.
Oh, you passing that over to the tavern keeper? The sort of elderly gnome picks it up and goes, "How are you too kind to me? Are you enjoying your stay here in Valach?"
So, town, isn't it? Here a couple of times and good.
Now you mention it, were you one of those folk who came in the other day and beat all those people to death in the town square?
You know, many furbolgs of these lands, but no, I'd like to think that we are of a calmer temperament.
Ah, fair enough. Honestly, I didn't see it myself.
This looked like the face, the mannerisms of somebody who would come into a town and beat people to death.
Oh no!
I'll be taking that room now.
I didn't mean to cause offence, good sir.
Oh.
Listen, you take that room, and if you do see anyone beating anyone to death, you let me know.
You seem to have a keen eye on it already, my friend. You seem to have picture descriptions of them at the ready.
Aye, well, there was the beating to death, and then someone broke the baker's window. It was that. I don't know which is worse, to be honest.
I mean, I think I know which one's worse. But,
You're right, the baker never did anything to anybody. Okay, well, you enjoy your rest. And you're able to, all of you get a robust 8 hours long rest.
Yeah, no, that's why Zell did not want to go back to that town.
Bogla quickly learned never go back to the scene of a crime.
Do not return to the scene of the crime.
Do you guys want to take a quick break there to get tea or anything?
Let's do it.
And we are back as you guys begin your journey back from the town of Valach, back from the Standing Stones, heading through the gathering gloom into the night, riding on horseback towards the fortified town of Lochilvin. Is there anything else you want to do before you get there in preparation?
Gloat wants to rack their memory to see if they recognize know the location of that place where the werebear community was.
Absolutely. Just give me a history check.
Damn. 11.
Lochilvin, you know it's up north, but you don't know where. But you are aware that that's somewhere up to the north.
Okay. Besides that, now.
Zell and Buglach?
I'm good. I'm happy to just head back. We've had our long rest, so.
In that case, you continue back, and after a little while, you emerge from the tree line again, and you can see down below you the town of Lochilvin. Fires have burned low around the Temple of the Fates. Smoke, black smoke, now billows up in a kind of low-hanging cloud over the town. Several other buildings appear to have caught fire and subsequently kind of burned out slightly, and there are now these just darkening trails hanging like almost like funeral shrouds over the rooftops of the town. The gate seems to be entirely open and unguarded, and there's sort of an eerie silence hanging over the town.
Okay. Zell's going to say, should we just head straight down to the Temple of the Fates and find out what happened?
Yeah, I think so.
You set
And then
off.
she's going to I was just saying she's going to direct her horse in that direction, so.
As you kind of come up towards the gates, you see they sort of stand just as you left them. You head into the main kind of courtyard space beyond the gates, with the various different roads leading off into the surrounding streets. You know that everything is very quiet. Every now and then you hear off in the distance a sound like a cry, or the sound of like steel clashing against steel for a moment, and then it would just kind of fade away. Just almost like little pockets of conflict scattered around the town. The roadway that runs east to west towards the Temple of the Fates is entirely deserted.
Should we head towards the Temple of the Fates to see what the aftermath of what we unleashed
Absolutely.
was?
Yeah, and then we can try and catch up with the people that we spoke to maybe before and find out what happened, what we've missed.
Are you staying on horseback?
I think
At the
Will's
moment-
could get off.
Gloat is going to detach the two shields they put back on their foot, and say goodbye to the horses because they're just freaky looking.
If everyone's getting off, Zell will get off as well. And just start walking down to the Temple of the Fates.
You start walking. You pass again the place where you commandeered the wine carriage. You pass the Bloody Claymore Tavern, its door firmly shut and barred for the evening. Night has fallen, but a lot of the lanterns haven't been lit in the streets. It's like the regular lamplighters haven't come out tonight, and so the only light is really cast from the flickering flames at the far end of the street, which cast this sort of lurid orange light onto your faces and stretches out long black shadows behind you. You eventually come to the end of the street, and it opens out into a wide square around the cathedral-like building, the Temple of the Fates. The belfry still jutting skywards like an accusing finger pointing towards the smoky heavens above. There are several trees that were standing around the base of the cathedral, but these appear to have caught fire during the night and are now blackened, twisted forms, still smoking slightly. And around the square you can see the remnants of what appear to be barricades thrown together out of furniture, doors, planks of wood, just whatever people could lay their hands on, dragged out into the streets and stacked up around the space. A lot of these barricades appear to have been set fire during the night and have burnt out over time, and you can see that the main doorway to the temple is open. The stairs are slick with blood, although it appears that many of the bodies have been dragged away during the night, and there's a sort of some of the unburnt rubble from the barricades has been repositioned to form a kind of barricade around the stairs in case anyone tries to emerge from the open doorways of the cathedral. There's one or two villagers, townsfolk, kind of slumped around this external barricade, and you can see the blacksmith, this sort of dwarven woman now smeared with soot and blood, sort of slumped with her back against the barricade, her hammer gore slicked and bloody, sort of resting over her shoulder. She appears to be grabbing a moment of peace as she sits here.
Oglaf is going to try and make their way into the cathedral. On the way, if there's any people that look particularly in mortal danger, it will cast healing words.
As you're approaching, the dwarven blacksmith kind of staggers up to her feet and goes, "Stop there! Oh, it's you. Where have you been?"
We had to take care of some business. Down there's a fighting chance to get done.
Well, I think you might have missed some of the action. I don't know who's still alive at this point. Captain Carlaw was here. A lot of the Silver Thistle Knights, the guards, we killed a lot of them, they killed a lot of us. I don't really know what the situation is. I think Carlaw might still be in the cathedral, but no one's quite got the pluck to step inside yet.
We do.
Well, if you have that death wish, you can head on in. The few folk we've sent inside have not made it out.
How many people do you think have died?
Hard to say. We formed quite a crowd, but they weren't armed, they weren't trained. This wave of armoured folk came down from the castle. We did our best, and I tell you, we killed a lot of them. But we lost a lot of folk.
Is Tatiana still alive?
The herbalist? I've not seen her, to be honest. It's hard to keep track of anything when it gets that busy, and by the time the fighting was over, I mean, I've not dared leave the square in case they try to break out. I mean, again, I think Carlaw's inside. He's got a fucking brute of a man with him, some kind of half Goliath, and a couple of his knights are still in there, I think, but I don't know where Leland is.
We'll our best to save Leland. Now, if I may, and I'll cast second level healing word and just say, any of them try and make a run for it, it'd be in our favour to stop them. We'll take the brute of it though.
She nods and goes,
Run.
"Okay, we will hold the line." And she turns around and kind of brings her hammer down, ringing against the cobblestones, and goes, "On your feet!" And you see wearily figures kind of rising from around the square, staggering out the shadow of the barricades, a few more kind of limping out from the buildings. The crowd is like bloody and weary. You get the sense that this has been a battle of attrition. The people who have survived, it's like they don't really know if they've won or not at this point. And they kind of gradually, this ragtag group of maybe around 30 or 40 figures kind of assemble in the square outside, bloodied, some wearing like makeshift bandages. Blacksmith turns around and goes, "I know it's been a long night. We hold the line, and we finish this, now." And they kind of nod, and you can see they're kind of looking towards you, sort of nodding, a few of them kind of like lifting fists up in recognition that you are the people who are going to be leading this charge.
I mean, you shouldn't be nodding at me, you should be nodding at brave blacksmith here. I mean, I'm not saying that they should lead the town, but are leading the town.
I assume Lord Kelmar is still around here somewhere. It should be him who is leading this attack, but for all I know,
He's keeping a light shining in the darkness. We'll say, I think Bob laughs at his own joke. It's just it's a candelabra, so it's actually quite a good play on words.
Boglock, it's not funny when you have to explain it.
I don't know. I think
Zell's gonna say.
I think it was kind of good.
I sometimes find it funnier when it's explained. But anyway, sorry. My partner often disagrees, but that's where different humours, I guess.
Bitterstone nods and goes, "You know, a light is what we need right now. We're in the darkest part of this whole affair, I imagine. If the bells were still functional, they'd be ringing midnight right now. But if there is still a light to guide us through this, then we will do our best to stay standing until the dawn.
We'll go inside and start seeing what's happening.
You head up the stairs through the huge doorways, double doorways, the doors having long since been torn off their hinges. You step into this large cavernous space within. Boglach, you recognize it from your excursion not so long ago. Although the interior is much changed, the wooden pews have been dragged together to form a makeshift barricade, which has since caught fire and is now flickering away, still flames smoking along the edge of the barricade. Bodies are littered everywhere, the armoured figures of guards and of silver thistles, spears and swords jutting from them. You see the figures of townsfolk, some faces vaguely familiar from your brief time around the town earlier. You can see beyond the carnage of this makeshift barricade, the three huge statues of the Fates at the far end, their altar still lit by numerous candles, still flickering away, and you can see several figures standing around the base. You can see, I'm going to put you on the map now, as you enter, standing directly at the base of the altar, is a thin man, middling in years, very pale drawn skin, almost a skull-like face. There's so little kind of fat on the face. His hair, sort of thinning grey hair, is like swept back in a ponytail at the back of his head, and he wears silver armour and a flowing red cloak, although both armour and cloak are stained and scarred with the marks of battle. Standing beside him is a huge hulking figure wearing clearly specially modified thistle armour, which covers the enormity of his muscular body, his face hidden behind a huge metal helm, two metal horns rising up from the side of the helm, the stature very much of a Goliath. You can see two more silver thistle knights kind of spaced among the remaining pews, leaning heavily on the pews, blood dripping down from their armour, their blades unsheathed beside them. And standing next to the thin armoured man at the altar, you see bloodied and bruised, but still standing defiantly, facing down the man who you assume to be Captain Carlaw, is Leland. Their sort of ceremonial robes in sort of tattered, covered in blood, but they are sort of seemingly undamaged themselves, and except for their arm, which they're kind of holding at a slight odd angle, kind of like pressed against themselves, and they seem to be kind of in conversation with Carlaw, showing no fear in the face of the man standing next to them. As you enter, there's a kind of a grunt from the large armoured figure, and Carlaw turns slowly around and looks across the length of the cathedral towards you and goes, "Ah, you're the ones, aren't you? You're the ones who decided to come in and ruin everything! Do you know how long I laboured over this plan? Do you know how much effort and time and money I invested in this, and now, in a matter of hours, it's put to the sword. My men are slaughtered, the townsfolk slaughtered, the wanton death, the unnecessary violence. It could have been so much simpler!" What have you to say in your defense?
I don't really think your viewpoint's completely accurate, given everyone in the town hated you.
We didn't force you to slaughter these people.
Yeah, you did that all on your own.
And yet you still killed them all.
We had no choice. We were one day away from ending the werewolf threat in this land, ridding the land of a truly existential threat.
How did you even find out there was a werewolf in this town? How did you know?
Planning this for a month. I have my informants. We have caught wind of the sister. We came here to spring a trap. Everything was planned so carefully. The one thing we didn't plan for was a couple of wretched outsiders coming in and fomenting unrest. We made sure that the townsfolk knew their place. We made sure that none of them would even think to rise up, no matter how mouthy some people got. And he kind of flashes a glance towards the elder standing next to him. He goes, and yet, here we are.
Well, I mean, they can't have been happy. It was shockingly easy.
Well,
to get them to rise up against you.
We were a little heavy-handed, but needs must, and there was a greater game to play. However, there is still time. If you are willing to stand aside, I can still slaughter the werewolves. We can still end this threat. If you believe, truly, that lycans can dwell peacefully among us, you are sorely mistaken, but I hope you are not so foolish.
In me personally, I like to see evidence of things before my own eyes. And it seems like before you became involved, there was 2 lycans who lived quite peacefully in this town. It was your presence, even in the face of your own threat. I mean, not killed anybody as far as I'm aware. It's not out of anger or out of some weird sense of justice that you have.
Sure, some lycans, the occasional lycan may be able to control its corruption. But one life, a couple of lives, for the greater good. I was ready to leave the town. We would have left tomorrow before the lycans even arrived. We would have been on our way, gone on to live a peaceful life. I would have laid down my sword. And
but
yet,
you didn't lie down your swords during the rebellion, and you could have. You didn't need to kill all those people out there.
They
you
were
could
going
have laid
to
down
die
your swords.
anyway. There's a pack of werewolves running here now from the hills. What do you think was going to happen to these wretches?
And how do you know that?
Because we sent them word. You're out of your depth.
I think we all understand exactly what's happened. Just
I don't think I understand.
Why
happened.
would you tell the werewolves to come here and massacre the town?
Oh, I can't get to the werewolves myself. I can't march into the hills. They would have picked us off one by one. So what do you do when there's a rat infestation? You don't climb inside the walls, you tempt them out. And then you spring a trap. The whole town's rigged. We would have let them come in. We would have been gone by then. We would have shut the gates, bar them from the outside, and voila! No more
And you were
werewolves.
going to kill everyone in the town?
That's a couple of 100 people. Do you know how many people would have been saved from this wretched threat of lycanthropy?
But you're saying that you wanted to end it, which means that you must be pretty sure that that's all the werewolves are going to come to this place in these lands, yeah?
Well, it's most of them. We can hunt down the stragglers one by one, but...
There's only one pack of werewolves all across the Highlands? I don't think so.
Have you heard of the werebears?
The werebears... We would have found them in due course, perhaps, but...
And was your strategy always going to be to actually, destroy an entire town?
Yes.
Zell is furious.
That's what it takes. You don't understand. This is a higher good we're trying to perform here. And of course we would have, if anyone had survived, we would have, of course, let them out, let them go free. Townsfolk, I mean.
Okay.
Planning on,
Well,
them down.
enough blood has been shed. How about you let the old man go and no one else needs to die today?
No.
True.
It's not too late. You don't understand. If you can leave. You don't have to be involved in this anymore.
I am not going to leave knowing that you are going to destroy this entire town and everyone in it.
Very well. What's a little more bloodshed after a bloodbath, eh? And he draws his sword. You hear the ring of steel as the other silver thistles draw their blades as well. He goes, "You may not realize it, but your deaths and the deaths of every one of the townsfolk will be worth it if we can cleanse and purify this land."
I look towards the two thistles that are more ahead and just say, I don't met a single thistle yet that's actually stood the test of time of sticking with this guy over here. So if you want to save us all a bit of time, you could just run out right now, because most likely you'll do it in a matter of
Half an hour.
seconds.
Give me a persuasion check with a DC of 18.
Not gonna happen, but it does not work.
They kind of glance from you, they glance back towards Captain Carlo, and they level their swords. And at that moment, can you roll initiative? At the top of the round is Captain Carlo, who is going to use his full action to dash, and he is going to run across the floor to here. His blade drawn as he just comes sprinting through the cathedral, the burning light of the barricades kind of flickering over his armor, the candles glowing behind him as this figure sprints towards you, blade raised. Ending his turn, Glut, you're up.
Alright, Glut's gonna walk forward and they're relieved. Like, there was so much talking going on that Glut was scared for a moment that maybe this wasn't going to come to blows. And even Glut saying to get the old man out of the way, the moment he was out of the way, Glut was going to still attack anyway. But Glut is now so relieved that the talking's over and the work can begin. And because these brutal barbarians have literally just been slaughtering innocents as if they were animals, Glut's pissed. So I'm going to rage. Part of that bonus action, I can move 1, 2, 3 spaces, and then I'll move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more to be in Carlo's range. And I'm going to go for a reckless attack and then a normal attack with diplomacy. So for the first one, that is a 18.
18 will hit it.
And then for the second one, that is a 24.
Those will both land.
So that is 9 plus 5, 14. That is 26 slashing damage.
26 slashing damage. You just rain these blows in, kind of cleaving through broken parts in the armor that have already been slightly damaged during the combat. Blood sprays out and Carl kind of staggers slightly in front of you.
Aye, my turn.
Next up is the one of the two silver thistles remaining, the knights. He is going to use his full movement to run round and join his commander, kind of like scrambling over the pews. He comes over up next to Glut and is going to attack with a longsword. That will be...
We'll have advantage because he was reckless attack.
Oh, well, that will be a 21 to hit either way.
It hits.
That is going to be 10 points of slashing damage as that first blade comes down. He's going to attack again, and that will be 22 to hit.
Also hits.
And that will be 7 points of slashing damage as that longsword lashes into you twice, leaving these kind of like lacerations, just kind of nicking at your cheek. Ending their turn, Boglak is up next.
Amazing. I would like to cast Spike Growth around the kind of centered on the figure in the back of the...
Absolutely. Are you just censoring it from him?
Yeah, just like... I think... Oh, probably got this wrong. Something like that, I can fix up in a second.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, that lances out, kind of completely covering his area.
I'll give the... I'll like do it there, just so it misses the elder around there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2.
And what is the save on that?
So the ground in a 20-foot radius centered on a point within range, twists and sprouts. Hard spikes and thorns. The area becomes difficult terrain for the duration. When a creature moves into it or within the area, it takes 2d4 piercing damage for every 5 feet it travels. That's it. There's no save or anything like that.
Beautiful. Every 5 feet it takes the damage.
Yeah, I'll just like Blackwell and kind of reposition, I guess, behind this pew, sort of duck down. Just be maintaining concentration, like trying to keep that bigger figure from like joining into the fray as they see Gluck getting kind of hounded on a wee bit.
In that case, next up is the other Silver Thistle Knight, who is going to spend their turn dashing, and they are going to sprint round to about there, as they kind of like skirt round the pews and begin running towards the barricades. You get the impression that they are heading towards the gap in the barricades, heading towards Zell and Boglach as they run along, drawing their sword. Next up is the hulking figure in the center of the thorn. So for every, is it difficult terrain?
Difficult terrain.
In that case, they're gonna use their entire movement to get out of it, and that will cover. That will be 5. What's the damage per 5 feet?
So for every 5 feet, it is 2d4 piercing damage.
So that will be 6d4 piercing damage if you want to roll that. So again? 15 damage. You see this lumbering figure marching towards Leland, as the vines start kind of lashing out, almost like coming up between the stone flagstones, biting in, but not quite getting that far into the armor, but landing little blows here and there. You can see blood begin to like drip out from between the plates. This figure moves slowly through and kind of actually just ends their turn, just kind of like standing partially in the 1 foot still in the vines, 1 out, looming over Leland. They reach up behind their back and pull out this huge sword that runs up over their shoulder with a sort of sickening scrape of metal on metal. This thing, like a great sword that lands about kind of almost the same height as like a normal human figure. This is an enormous claymore, the steel glinting with a kind of almost translucent blue glow as the blade arcs up in the air and comes down towards Leland. The first blow will definitely hit. And that is going to be 13 points of slashing. And second blow will miss. So you see that blade come down. Leland kind of goes down onto 1 knee and goes, "Ugh!" And blood sprays out down the side of their bedraggled gown as this huge sword bites into the side of them. They go down onto 1 knee. You can see 1 more successful blow will be very, very bad for Leland, as that blade comes up, comes down again. Leland swings to the side, the blade hits the ground, sparks fly up off the stones, the blade creaks back up into the air again, and Zell, it's your turn.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Zell is going to kind of duck down over on this pew at the other side, and she's going to cast Hunter's Mark on the guy who is running over to us.
Yeah.
It was going to be Karlovy, since this guy's deciding to go for us. Let me just double check the... Yeah, he's within range. So she's going to cast Hunter's Mark on him, 1st level.
Beautiful.
Can I still attack, or is that me now? Because I cast a spell.
Is it an action or a bonus action?
No, it is an action.
Okay.
So, yeah, so if that's me then. Just going to wait.
No worries. In that case, you just kind of like ready your bow and get ready.
Yeah.
Then
sorry, Hunter's Mark's cast in times of bonus action.
Oh yeah, so it is. In that
Is
case,
it?
yeah, you
Oh,
can still
nice.
take your attack.
Then I can attack. Sorry, I thought it...
Nah, just
Oh
check.
yeah, one... Sorry. My bad.
I got it.
In that case then, yes, she is going to load up an arrow and aim it at this guy coming right towards her. Just 2, 1 right after the other. So that is... First one's a 24 to hit.
Yes, indeed.
Second one's a 21.
Both hit.
Perfect. So, yeah, that's going to be 4 and 5 piercing damage. So she's aiming kind of for the neck, but she's probably just gonna maybe they both kind of come in at the side, because she's going for that usual bit where the helmet meets the breastplate.
2 arrows sprout out, kind of digging into the collarbone kind of area, not quite hitting the neck for a fatal shot, but dealing a lot of damage. The figure kind of like staggers slightly, blood spraying down the front of the breastplate, grits their teeth, begins to move on. Anything else you want to do in terms of movement?
No, she's fine. She's gonna duck down behind that pew.
In that case, next up is Leland. Leland is going to take the disengage action and then try to put some distance here. Is going to just begin to sort of stagger back away from this hulking figure, heading for the edge of the cathedral wall. As they stagger away, top of the round, Carla raises their blade over their head. He brings it down towards you, Glute. That would be a 19 to hit. And that will be 9 points of slashing damage as Carla's blade lashes down into you. He's going to attack again for a 16 to hit.
Hits.
That would be 12 points of slashing damage as the blade once again bites down into you. Glute, you are up next.
Okay, because this other thistle came to hit me, I'm going to turn to go, this has nothing to do with you, and go to attack him twice. The first one is a 14, second one is a 16.
16 will hit.
Okay. Then that is 10 damage.
10 damage. And what are you using your greatsword for this, yeah?
I'm still using diplomacy, yeah.
Beautiful. You kind of slash up into the figure, staggers slightly. You can see that they're not remotely as like kind of tough or as well armed as Carlo and his hulking bodyguard. You're kind of cutting him down to single digits here.
Okay, then I will end my turn.
In that case, next up is the knight you've just been attacking, who, spitting blood from his mouth, attacks you with a 17 to hit. They are rolling good. That will be 10 points of slashing damage.
Okay.
And then that will be 15 to hit.
Still hits.
What is your AC?
14.
Oh god. That is going to be 8 points of slashing damage as these 2 more blows lash down into you. Ending his turn, Boglach is up.
I think Boglach, seeing this towering figure at the back, kind of trying to tag down Leland, is going to make some pretty risky actions, but I think it has to be done. It's going to use movement to like 5, 15, 20, 20. So move over here, like kind of scamper around. It's basically going to put concentration on the spike growth, but then recast it, kind of almost like drag it along into a new area.
Gotcha.
To try and like keep ahead of the figure. Yeah, I think that's okay. Can drop concentration and then recast in one turn.
Yeah, absolutely. Dropping concentration, just it's done.
Yeah, so literally just like, yeah, just like bits of, you know, the floor and stuff just rip up. It's like they're just dragged along.
As that kind of swarming mass of vines and spikes just sort of almost like chases after the heels of this huge figure and sort of appear forming a field in front of them, that difficult terrain once again slowing them right down. Anything else you want to do?
I think that is me.
Well, at that moment, the knight closest to Zell is going to use the rest of their movement to come round up close to Zell, sprinting through the kind of smoke and flames of the broken barricade, blade up, lashing in towards you, Zell, for a 24 to hit.
That will hit.
That will be 11 points of slashing damage, and then that will be a 19 to hit.
Still hits.
And that will be 10 points of slashing damage from his second attack.
Okay.
Kind of just like lunges, almost jump scaring out of the smoke towards you, blade just lashing down. You don't have quite enough time to get the bow out of the way, and these blows start raining down across your arms and over your shoulders. You kind of like try to ward them off. Next up is the hulking figure who, as these sort of vines sprout up around him, kind of forming another barrier to his progress towards Leland. You kind of like he is going to use his dash action to get to here, and that means he's going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Was it a D6?
A D4.
2D6. 2D4. So it's 10 D4.
And D4.
Mm-hmm. And he's also used his action, so he's not going to be able to attack on this turn.
26 damage.
26 damage. You see this once again, almost like uncaring for the pain. This figure begins lumbering forward again, and with renewed vigor, the vines start lashing in, more blood spraying out of the plates around his legs and around his hands. And you kind of like you hear this as he begins to kind of like slow down and drip blood as he begins to progress across the ground. Ending his turn there, Zell is up.
Okay, obviously because this guy's right on her, Zell doesn't really have much of a chance. She's just going to pull her dagger out and make 2 kind of stabbing motions at him. Talk me through the armor again. Where's the kind of like weak points on the body?
Right now, under the arm and around the neck are good weak points.
Perfect. Okay, she's going to go under the arm then this time, since he's right there.
Uh-huh.
So the first one is only a 9 to hit.
That will miss, sadly.
Second one's a nat 20.
That will definitely hit. That's a crit.
So
you'll be rolling double your... are you doing it through D&D Beyond?
Yes.
That'll add your crit automatically. That's beautiful.
Okay. And I need to add Hunter's Mark onto it as well.
Oh, yeah?
So give me 2 seconds. Okay, that's still only like 11 points of damage.
How are you doing that?
So she's going to do, let's say she's doing 2 slashes under the arm to take advantage of that weak point in the armor, but like properly dragging the knife along to slash as much of the skin as she can.
You like drive that blade up into his like under the arm and just like right in, and you the blade, quite long blade, slides into where his heart would be in the sort of cavity in his chest. Blood sprays out over your hand and his eyes like bulge behind the plate of his helm. He staggers slightly, slides off your blade onto the ground. He's dead.
Awesome. As a bonus action, I'm gonna cast Hunter's Mark on the knight beside Carlo.
You kind of just move that hunter's attention over to Carlo, over to the knight beside Carlo.
No,
you see those little green runes flickering above their head. As you do that, next up is Leland, who is once again going to use a disengage action to get away a little bit further without taking damage. Boglak is essentially bottom time now to start putting a bit of distance between him and this lumbering figure as he begins skirting around the side. You can see though his progress is going to be slowed as he gets in among the pews. At that moment, back to the top of the round, Carlo raises his blade once again, spitting venomously as he brings it down towards Glut, and he goes, "Why couldn't you have just let things be?" And he's going to roll 16 to hit.
Hits.
That will be 9 points of slashing. Okay. And that will be just a 10 to hit.
Ha ha ha.
Oh, pardon me. No, it won't be. It will be 15 to hit.
Ha 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 on me then.
All right. That will be 9 points of slashing damage as he slashes into you, ending his turn. Glut is up.
Okay, I am going to use my first attack to try and hit the knight that is beside Carlock again. And that is a 21.
That absolutely hits.
And that is 15 damage.
Mm-hmm. That will do it. How are you doing that?
So, because my last attack missed, I feel like I went for like a swing with my big swords. It bounced off his armor. Then I just pull my arm back and I just like drive my fist straight into where his helmet is. And it just like the helmet collapses inwards. You hear like this like thunk noise as like, you know, the nose piece dents inwards. You just see like exposed teeth and exposed skull and, you know, bits of brain matter just stuck to the edge of the helmet as he then just falls backwards.
You crush that head in, just folding it in with that punch directly into the center of the helmet. The body ragdolls back over the pew, so it's spilling brain matter down onto the stones, completely dead. Is that?
Nice.
And I've used one attack. Could I try and grapple Karlach with my second attack?
Do you have any feature that allows you to make like a grappling attack?
No, just I just grab a lot. But
no, you'd be able to
specific
do
things
either an
as I can do
unarmed
it.
attack or take an action to grapple in your next turn.
It was okay. If that's the case, I'll just go for another greatsword slash on Karlach,
Beautiful.
and that is a 15.
That will just miss.
And in that case, I will move. Oh, did not mean that. I'll move here, then here, and I'll end my turn there.
Beautiful. You just duck around Carlisle. The two of you kind of like dance and weave around each other, blades flashing in the firelight. Ending your turn, both the knights are down, so Boglak is up next.
So I'm just going to check if this makes sense, just because it's like I get the preciseness of it. But am I able to move 5 feet diagonally there, or is that blocked by pews or anything?
No, you can move there. That's just kind of like general detritus. You can step over.
So that would be 5 feet, and then that could be 10.
Absolutely.
And 15, 20, 25, 30. And then another question I had was, so it's 60 feet I'm kind of looking for, which I don't know if that reaches or not. I might be
just
5
out
feet
of your
short.
range.
Just out.
If you wanted to, instead of sort of skirting round, you could probably get an extra 5 feet of movement if you tried to jump through the burning barricade.
I think for Leland, I would try and do that if that would make the difference.
Absolutely. Give me an acrobatics check as you spring through the flickering, smoking flames of the barricade.
Oh, dirty 20.
Oh, you just, like Leland disengages, springs away from this hulking figure, kind of trips and falls against one of the wooden pews, glances back over their shoulder towards this lumbering giant coming towards them, and then they look round, kind of, in their mind thinking, this is probably what the fates have intended for me. This is how they spin their thread. I cannot escape this fate, and then they look towards that wall of flames and just see for a moment the flames part and this figure springs through the gap as Boglak lands, kind of superhero landing style, on the other side. You can get one extra set of 5 feet forward, and you are within range of the figure.
In that case, I guess I'm going to drop my concentration, and I'm going to, first part of the plan went well, but it all rests on this. It's all for nothing. No, and I'm going to try and cast Hold Person on the figure. It's a 15 wisdom save.
That's a 13.
It's a 13! Oh.
Yeah.
I'll cast. I did not think that would work. I'll cast Hold Person then on the hulking figure, please.
Do you say anything as that happens?
I think. Don't think so. I think Boglak just sort of jumps through, very single-minded, very like can hear the clattering of like Lut and Zell fighting, and it's just kind of like all attention on this towering figure and just the flashing images of Leland dying and not promise to protect. Yeah, it's just like, it's more like a silent, just like resolve that just like manifests and like gripping onto this person and holding them.
as your will kind of manifests out from you, extending and warping the fabric of reality around you, the air seems to almost thicken and shimmer around that figure as they just grind to a halt in the air. I also need you to know that they did roll a 15, but they have a -2 to their wisdom.
I was hoping for low wisdom.
Yeah.
I got a feeling.
You got that impression?
Yeah. And it's not I got that impression, I was just like, I'm guessing this is a big brute of something. Because I was like, I'm not going to cast Entangle because I feel like strength is going to be in their side. But wisdom is
Maybe not.
A lesser respected trait sometimes in people. All by the intelligence, but not by the wisdom, the street smarts.
Next up is this hulking figure, and they are held. Can you just remind me? Do they have the chance to make a save at the end of their turn?
So it's concentration up to 1 minute. They're paralyzed for the duration. The end of each of its turns, it can make another wisdom saving throw. On a success, the spell ends. So yes, they do get the chance at the end of their turn.
That was a nat 1, so they're not. It would have been hilarious though if it would have been like a nat 20. But no, that one, you see the figure just kind of like struggling a little bit against these invisible barriers, unable to move, unable to continue towards Leland to land that killing blow. Zell, you're up next.
Okay, since the 2 knights are down, Zell's turning her eye on Carlaw. She's gonna kind of hop over this person that she killed and draw her bow. Well, no, as a bonus action, she's going to cast Hunter's Mark on him because she cast it on the knight that's now dead. So, and then she's going to draw her bow and send 2 arrows in Carlaw's direction. First one is only a 10 to hit, so that one just, I will assume, oh fuck. Second one's a nat 1, so totally pointlessly sends 2 arrows off into the fray.
I'm just so amazed by Boglass.
I was just so amazed by what just happened. Yeah, she's distracted seeing this like hulking figure frozen that she misses completely.
In that case, next up, Leland is going to continue their dash away. They're going to get over to beside Boglach, kind of like staggering, limping, blood pouring down from this gash on their shoulders. They come alongside Boglach. They go, "Well, looks like the fates brought you back. And I have them and you to thank."
Yeah, the fates definitely gave me a boost over that fire there.
I think you gave yourself a boost. You have my gratitude now. I'm not much cut for fighting, I'm afraid, but I will be praying for you.
Yes, outside the blacksmith is leading the charge.
I'll go to them. Good luck. And they put their hand on your shoulder and they go, "I believe a Caldonis can finish this business." And claps your shoulder and then begins to head past you towards planning to skirt the barricade. And in their turn, we return to Carlaw, who is now locked in this dance of death around Glut, their eyes focused in, so fixated on Glut that they're not even noticing the arrows. They are just barely missing by luck. They're kind of bouncing off the pews around them. They are going to attack again. That will just be a 13 to hit.
Oh, it misses.
Misses, and that will be nat 1. These 2 blows straight past. You're just ducking and diving as these blades cut through the air. He is unable to land a hit, and Glut is up next.
Alright, I'm gonna reckless attack for my first attack on Carlaw, which is a crit!
Hell yes!
And then I'll go for a second attack, which is a 23.
Both will hit.
So that's 3d10 plus 12 damage. 1, 6, 9. Oh fuck, maths. 28 slashing damage.
Fuck, yeah, that's a lot. You're just like, as he's kind of missing these shots, you're able to just drive your blade up, kind of taking advantage of his swinging open guard, just cleave into his side, blood sprays down. That blow is so hard that it just lifts the breastplate off. You hear buckles snapping as his entire breastplate piece flies off and clatters onto the ground, exposing his kind of light, kind of blood-soaked leathers underneath.
I'll then move round to here, staying within his reach, and then my turn.
Excellent, then Boglach is up. Boglach, you can see that At this point, as Leland ducks past you, this massive figure, although unable to move, its eyes are just kind of narrowed and focused directly on you.
Oh, that's I think Boglach now gets quite terrified. So like, I feel like if you close the door on an axe murder, and then you're like, wait, now I'm in the position of having to. Now I'm the closer one to it. Yeah, I really don't know what to do.
Send an acid arrow.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I can still cast spells at the person, can I?
Yeah, as long as they don't do concentration.
And if they're paralyzed, would that give the spell any sort of advantage?
Is it a
anything?
ranged attack with the spell?
Yes.
Then it would be at advantage.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm gonna use for the first time, possibly, at least ever for Bogla. Gonna use a 4th level spell slot for good. A 4th level acid arrow, please.
Fire away.
Please.
It's okay, 21. 21 to hit.
That hits.
Does it hit?
It hits.
Oof. In that case, 6d4. Which is...
This music as well is like, whew.
11.
11. For a moment, the firelit gloom of the cathedral lights up this flash of green as the acid arrow shoots across and almost just like slides into the this narrow grating in the giant figure's armor. You hear this kind of hissing, sizzling sound, and unable to even open his mouth to scream as his acid burns down the inside of his helmet over his face, eating away at the flesh behind the visor. Anything else you want to do?
I was going to say, it'll take 11 damage. I was like... Oh, no, I've not even rolled it yet. So it'll take 11 damage now, and at the end of his next turn, it will take 8 damage.
Oh, goddamn. Did you say it would take 8 damage?
Oh, so it took the 11 initially. So on the hit, the target takes 4d4, which was the 11 immediately, and then 2d4 acid damage at the end of its next turn.
Nice.
Did you not say you cast at level 4 though?
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
So it was 6d4, which was 11. It was still, I was like, that's a pretty good roll for... 6d4 is 11.
And a further 8 to come as the acid kind of continues to burn through. Beautiful. Anything else you want to do in your turn?
Okay. Right. No, that will be me.
Next up is that giant figure.
No, I just realized that the damage for both increases by 1d4. So it's going to be 2d4 of da-da-da. So it's going to be 4d4. So I'll roll an extra 2 and just send it through to you.
Nice.
So it'll be... I think... Flash maths.
That will...
6 in total, that's it.
What in total?
6 in total at the end of this next turn.
Beautiful. So that is going to get free on that. That is a 15, even with its reduction. So you feel that kind of like that whole person's spell kind of almost like rippling back against your hand as its will kind of asserts itself against you, and then it goes, and you see the figure come back into life. That's the end of its turn. It spent its whole turn kind of getting out of the whole person, but I will say that just as a sort of a free action at the end of its turn, this figure reaches up and pulls the helmet off its head, throws the helmet aside, and you see the face of a Goliath, but the acid has burned through the face, is exposing the sort of sizzling bone structure of the cheekbones. The lips have burned away to reveal just this like grinning rictus smile exposed underneath. One of its eyes seems to have been burned away by the acid as this figure looks towards you and lets out this like guttural roar. Ending its turn is Zell is up next.
Zell's still focused on Carla. How's Gloot looking, by the way?
Don't worry about Glut.
Never better.
Zell is a
Glut's
bit
fine.
worried about Glut, but
Glut
also
is
knows
having a blast.
that Glut would want Zell to go for Carlo. So hopefully very focused this time is going to send another 2 arrows at Carlo, who she's got Hunter's Mark on, so... And she's still going to miss with the first one. It's only a 10. Second one is a 24, though.
That hits.
So that will be... 14 points of damage. So she's going for the neck again this time. Well, actually, no. She's going to go for the exposed... since his breastplate fell off, she'll go for the exposed chest, since she's got a wider target. So the first one will miss. Maybe she was going for the neck with the first one, missed, and lowered her aim and went for the chest as the second one.
That second arrow rams in just kind of like a little below the rib cage, kind of embedding itself almost in his gut. He staggers, cursing, blood spraying out of this little gash on his side, and you can see his skin is pale and drawn. He's not looking good. Anything else you want to do in your turn?
No, I'm my turn now.
In that case, next up is Leland. And Leland is going to spend the rest of his turn running and will kind of vanish into the smoke at the back of the cathedral, heading for the doorway. Ending that round, we return to Carlo. Carlo, in a very bad shape, is going to spit blood to the side and go, "You stand with the spawn of the night, you die with them!" And brings his blade down towards Glut once again, and that is a crit.
Ooh. Oh no. Glut might not be so fine, guys.
That is going to be 22 points of slashing damage from that first attack. First blade lashes down. He takes this deep cut out of your neck, almost going to the bone, into the sort of flesh from the neck and the shoulder. He's going to bring his blade up again to attack, and that will be a 14 to hit.
Hits.
Oh, right.
AC is 14.
Oh,
so
gotcha. That will be 12 points of slashing damage.
Okay. Okay.
These blades are just lashing down into you, blood spraying out down over your shoulders. He seems to be kind of basically aiming to try and cut the head from your shoulders. Next up is Glut.
Yeah, so obviously I take half damage because I'm raging. That means I've taken over 100 points of damage this fight. Yeah, I started this fight with 67. I'm now 60. I'm now at 17. So
I mean, I'm still surprised you're standing at this point.
Nah, but
as
Glut would say, fuck it, we ball. So they're gonna go for another reckless attack for their first one, and that is a 24, and then attack number 2 is a dirty 20.
What's the damage?
Hopefully good.
Hopefully enough.
That 7 to 9. That is 21 slashing damage.
How are you doing that?
So as he says that to me and like hacks into my shoulder, I kick out his knee, and his knee, you hear the sickening crunch as it bends backwards, so he stumbles back, so he gets close to my height. And as he falls, I shove both my hands into his mouth, and he goes, "Now the time for words is over." And I rip his head in half. Like, bottom jaw comes down, top jaw comes up, a spray of blood.
There is this audible snapping sound as the lower part of the jaw just tears off, teeth spraying out as you wrench the jaw down. His eyes are wide open staring at you. His tongue is just hanging down over like the front of his neck. He can... blood just gurgling down out of the exposed throat within. He slumps forward, eyes bulging, and dies.
I feel like Zell, still holding her bow, would have just like dropped it in total shock at that. Holy
The time
shit!
for words is over.
That was
God.
so good.
All right, and then with the rest of my turn, I'll move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll move here, and I'm then gonna make a show of looking at the giant warrior and drop my sword down by my feet and go, "You're next," and then my turn.
Okay. Next up is Boglach.
I mean, I think Boglach, over the time that Glut and them have adventures, knows that Glut is not one to be messed with, and away, line them up and let Glut knock them down, and Zell pick them off as well. So I'm just going to healing word Glut level. You will regain something. I know Glut tries to hide if they're hurt or not, but I feel like Black knows that they've taken a beating.
Everyone knows they've taken.
Get 10 back.
Oh, well, I say thank you, but I feel like Glut now having some of that pain taken away from you is going to release like a shriek, as if like that's the most painful thing that's happened this whole fight, is to like get like that like thrill of like being close to death like dulled away from you. You hear like a is that like as like some of like their wounds like stitched back together.
Think about it, Glut. You can take more hits now.
And then you just see Glut look over their shoulder with like a wicked grin.
Yeah, I think Boglach will just sort of dart down here, ready to provide support. Turn around, look at Zell. How's Zell looking?
Zell's actually okay in the grand scheme of things. I mean, she's at about half health, but she's okay, and I can cast cure wounds on myself.
Healing word is a bonus action as well. So you still have your action too.
Yeah, I think for action though, I've only really got. Because guidance is touch. I could produce a flame, so I'll produce a flame for now. Ready to hurl it if needed.
Flickers into life in your palm, ready to throw.
Got many other actions. It's kind of one or the other. But yeah, Black will like go against the pew and like eyes with Zell and just be like, "You see that? That was." I've never seen wild animals do that before. I've never seen
a person do it.
And like turn over the pew and be like, "You've got this, Glut. Got this.
We believe in you."
The skull-faced, acid-burned knight begins to run. They're to take, what was it, 6 points of damage, or was it 8?
6.
6 points of damage. As they're running, you can see the rest of the acid still burning through their flesh, kind of peeling away the cheeks, so now you can see their teeth running up in this like huge, hideous grin on either side of the face. They are going to dash this turn, and they're going to dash to here. Boglach, you just see this enormous figure clanking across towards you, claymore raised over their head as they loom over you, the flickering firelight casting their skull-like visage in this flickering sort of grotesque mask. That's going to be the end of their turn, and Zell is up next.
Okay, that kind of changed what I was going to do. Zell is going to let's see. Cast Hunter's Mark on 2nd level on the new Goliath. I feel like I'm such a one-trick pony because I'm just like, woohoo, shoot arrows. That's kind of me. But like that's like the best thing I can do. So she's gonna pull 2 arrows out and aim at the Goliath. How bad is it looking?
I mean, he's still looking robust. His face has been burned off, but he has still got all his limbs and is very angry.
First one is a 23 and second one is a 21 to hit.
They will both hit.
Both hit?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. So she fires them off in quick succession. She's aiming for the kind of head burning area, I suppose. First arrow is 8 damage. And second one is... Sorry. 6 damage for the second one.
Lovely. As this thing is like running across the gap towards your companion, you just loose these two arrows, kind of like boom, as it kind of almost slows for a moment, and then just continues on. The arrows now sprouting out from kind of the bottom of its collar.
Great. I'll end my turn there because I'm better far away. So.
Okay, then Glut is up next.
So I would like to run 1-2 on this pew, and I'd like to sort of like springboard off this pew, so I can like leap at the Goliath, and so like obviously that's like running parallel to a wall, yeah. I want to try and use the momentum of my jump to like shoulder barge his head to bounce off the stone wall.
Absolutely. Jump up and kind of like slam. You can just go for an unarmed strike to land that.
I'll go for a reckless attack for that then. And that is a 22.
That absolutely hits. You bring in, slam your shoulder in, and boom, bounce, sort of rock his head off the side of the wall. Do you want to roll your standard damage and then add on a d6 for the wall bludgeoning?
A d6. That is 9. 9 damage.
9 damage. You're gonna like slam him back into the wall, and now with his helmet off, he takes that full damage to the back of his head. It's kind of like more blood sprays down from his split scalp.
Okay, and then as I'm like falling down, I kind of want to just like hang on to his head while I'm up there. Just ceases like. Because I've went for an unarmed strike, I'm just going to try and see if I can just like hang on to him.
Just like cling on to one of the shoulder plates kind of thing?
Yeah.
Beautiful. As you cling on there, Boglach, you're up.
Boglach is going to look up at this towering figure. He's going to go, this time I get out of here, and turns around, ready to disengage. Then stops, and like... flashing through his mind, he sees like his partner, like, you're always just running away. Keep running away, you never do anything. Turn back and they see Glut just reckless attacking, always getting in there, not thinking it through so much, just doing everything with passion. It's just like, I'm not going to run anymore. He's just going to turn around and start a sort of fit of passion, but like true joyous passion. Just going to unarmed strike. Yeah, the towering figure. Right into the armor.
Go for it.
It's gonna be a 6. It's like
your hand fully connects, and you just like punch the armor. But it is a very heavy armor. Your hand just like bang, off the side. But there is like passion behind that blow. For the first time in a long time, you just feel this like burning sense of certainty that this is where you're meant to be right now as you land that blow.
Think like, yeah, like Boglach, I don't know, it sounds like Boglach cries out in pain, but there's also tears of joy in there. Like a weird like
awaken
laugh.
Something.
Yeah, like a weird creepy laugh. It's like they just stare at Glut. You're like, I'm doing it, I'm doing it. And he turns to Zell and he's like, I hit it, I didn't run. And then as my bonus action, I will hidden step, which is you turn invisible until the start of your next turn, or until you attack, make a damage roll, or force someone to make a saving throw. But yeah, I'll be like, but I do think I should be a bit more careful as well. Besides at the same time. So like, I'll disappear at the same time.
It's not running away if I stay
running
still
away.
and turn invisible.
So you're now fully invisible, right?
I believe so. I think it's it's a Firbolg trait. A hidden step. As a bonus action, you can turn magically invisible until the start of your next turn.
The Goliath raises his blade and freezes as you go invisible, and kind of like pauses for a moment, and then just swings the blade down towards the small to it, the sort of the insect clinging to its shoulder, to land its first attack against Glut. That will be 17 to hit.
Hits.
That will be 15 points of slashing damage from that first attack.
Okay.
And that will be a dirty 20 on the second.
Okay.
That is going to be 17 points of slashing damage. as that second blow crunches down. It's not able to like throw you off. It's almost just kind of like wildly cutting down at itself and at you, kind of clinging on, ending the Goliath's turn as Zell is up.
Perfect. How is the Goliath looking? Is it still fairly robust?
Give me a medicine check if you want to try and get like a read on it. I mean, its face is burned off, so it's.
Oh, that's true. 6.
You're like, the face thing is pretty bad, but it's still standing, so you're not sure what the correlation is.
Okay. Yeah, Zell's just gonna grab another 2 arrows and go for it.
Mm-hmm.
First one is 25 to hit.
That hits.
Second one is 26.
Those both hit.
Oh.
Both going right in. So the first one is 13 piercing damage for the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And the second one is 7 piercing damage. So she's still going for the kind of head. Is the armor still fully there from the chest down?
From the chest down, the armor is still fully there, but the head is totally exposed. And as you land that second arrow, how are you doing that?
Yeah.
I love it when you ask that, because that usually means it's the blow. So yeah, she's going straight. Let's say she's going straight for the eye socket where the eye has burned away. She's aimed directly for that with a steady arrow.
It brings these 2 massive blows down against the tiny figure of Gloot clinging onto the side. 1, 2, you see Gloot's blood spraying down, intermingling with the blood of the Goliath as it begins to hack away, and then that arrow, first one into the side of the neck, it kind of like writhes back against the wall, blood sort of gouting down the front of its armor, and then as it turns towards you, Zell, its eye, one eye narrowing towards you as if it's kind of focusing in on its next target, you just draw a breath, loose that second arrow, straight through the eye socket. The Goliath's head snaps back against the wall, and as its head, with the force of the arrow, hits the wall, you hear bone shattering as the skull, already weakened from that previous blow via Gloot, the skull just kind of disintegrates against the wall, and this huge figure just topples forward into stillness on the ground.
Zell's like semi in shock that she actually managed to do that, and she's like, holy shit, I can't believe that just happened.
And with that, we are out of combat. The cathedral is quiet except for the crackling of the flames, and you are all alive.
So these pews over here, these are still burning on fire, yeah?
They're still crackling away, yeah.
How big's the fire?
The fire looks like it's burning a little bit lower now, so it's kind of, they're relatively small fires.
All right, I want to drag this big hulking corpse and just like put it on top of the fire. I want to burn this motherfucker.
You drag that enormous body over, the sort of broken head lolling to one side, heave it up onto the flames, and at first it almost dampens the flames. The flames kind of like die out beneath it, and then a moment later they roar back in, flickering up over the body into the armor as smoke begins to trail up between the cracks in the armor, and the body begins to burn, the smell of burning flesh filling the air.
Glow just inhales, slowly exhales. You see just like a brief just like smile on their face, and they're very curious about the sword that's the size of her that this person had, because obviously diplomacy is kind of a similar size. Is it even bigger than diplomacy?
It's even bigger than diplomacy. This is probably the biggest claymore you've ever seen.
Okay, so I want to. Can I try and like pick it up and wield it?
Absolutely, you heave this thing up. It's a massive greatsword, but you are experienced with greatswords, so you are able to wield this thing. You can feel that it's just like any larger and it would probably tip you over onto the ground, but you're kind of like muscles bulging, holding it in place.
Oh, brilliant. Okay. I'm going to take that. Does it mechanically work any different to a normal greatsword?
Yes, it does. I'll send you all the details. You can see, looking at it, there are many claymores in the Highlands, but most of them are just made of steel. But the rare kind of high quality claymores, usually carried by like elite members of clans, are made from meteorite steel. That has this kind of blue tinge to it. Looking at this blade, you can tell that you've come into possession of one of these rare old claymores.
Oh, okay. Glut can't really scabbard it because obviously it's taller than her, so I feel like Glut's going to start thinking of some sort of scabbard they can use that would be beneficial. But as of right now, they're just going to be like pyramid head, and they're just going to drag it across the floor behind them.
You drive this kind of like scraping metal behind you. Looking around, you can see there's no one else in the space. The only other bodies in here are the dead bodies of defenders and attackers.
Zell is gonna go over to Captain Carlaw and like start going through his pockets.
As you head over towards Captain Carlaw, you hear a kind of step at the door, and glancing over, you see Leland has stepped back in. And they kind of look in towards you. They look at Captain Carlaw, they look at the burning body, and they kind of nod and turn around and just disappear back out through the main door. And as you bend down, running your hands over Captain Carlaw's armour, kind of looking for anything he might have been carrying, you can all hear outside suddenly this, starting with just a few voices uplifted in kind of guttural shouts, but gradually added to by this chorus from outside as the townsfolk let out a roar, realising that finally the tyranny of the Silver Thistle has been banished. And with that, we will end tonight's session and pick up next week for the kind of wrap-up and finale of Heroes of the Highlands. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Oh my god, that was so fun. That went like, again, even in the combat, shockingly better than I thought it would.
Just before we wrap up, just as always, quick shout out to Jessica Bowen, who did the wonderful character art, and to Nerdius Maximus, who did all the wonderful music you've been hearing, bringing these scenes alive. Thank you to our fantastic players for making this such a fun game, and for surviving the night, and we will see you next week.